What happens when the greatest gamer on the planet stops trying to save the game and starts trying to break it? Yoon Yi-young was once the undisputed #1 player, a living legend that everyone knew, but after quitting the game that made him famous, he stumbles upon a secret that was never meant to be discovered, a hidden class so broken that it rewards him for hunting beginners. Mysterious stat capable of bending reality itself, and powers that even the game's creators can't fully understand. Most players dream of becoming heroes. This dude chose to become the final boss. What started as a simple experiment quickly turns into a nightmare for the entire server. Guilds begin collapsing, players start getting wiped out left and right. Even the game administrators have no idea how to stop him. And the worst part, he's only getting started, because when a genius stops following the rules and starts rewriting them, the entire world is about to get absolutely cooked. This isn't a story about saving Arcadia, it's the story of the man who turned chaos into a weapon. Year 20XX, Seoul. The city lights shine beneath the starry night sky, everything looks peaceful, but little does anyone know, a monster is about to make the entire gaming world look absolutely cooked. The bustling district of Gangnam glows with life. The camera slowly rises toward the top floor of the D Group building. This is the headquarters of Team 01. Undisputed #1 ranked team in the entire world of ROR. These guys aren't just good, they're supposed to be untouchable. Inside the pro gamer training room, every player sits locked in, focused, confident, ready to remind everyone why they are at the top. One player grips his mouse tightly. His fingers fly across the keyboard at ridiculous speed. A confident grin spreads across his face. After all, he's finally found the opponent everyone's been talking about. The screen flashes white. Game start. The virtual world loads instantly. Team 01 charges into War Valley without hesitation. Leading the assault is their massive demon warrior, a giant monster built to crush everything in his path. But then, standing completely alone before them, is a dark armored figure named Dex. That's it, just one guy. The demon warrior immediately starts talking trash. He roars about showing the world exactly why Team 01 is #1. Bro is already planning his victory speech. He raises his massive sword and charges forward. Meanwhile, Dex doesn't even flinch, not a single movement wasted, not a single ounce of panic. He calmly draws his blade. And then, a blinding flash of blue energy explodes across the battlefield. The demon warrior's attack stops instantly, before the guy can even understand what happened. The defeat message appears, just like that. The #1 player has been folded. The remaining teammates stare at the screen in disbelief. Their leader just got deleted from existence. Match barely started, but they refuse to back down. They rush forward together, trying to cover for their fallen captain. The blue-haired assassin launches himself through the air. His blades radiate intense energy. Everything he has goes into this attack. Meanwhile, Dex remains perfectly still. His visor glows an ominous red, and suddenly, he moves. So fast that nobody can even follow it. The blades collide, sparks explode everywhere. For a brief second, it almost looks competitive, almost, then Dex completely overwhelms him. A massive explosion of red energy erupts across the battlefield, and 2 more players are instantly erased. Gone, just gone. The spectators watching the match are horrified. They can't believe what they're seeing. One player just wiped out the tank and the dealer like it was a warm-up match. At this point, the remaining members desperately try to maintain formation, but little do they know, Dex is already moving again. He launches himself high into the sky. His red cape flows behind him like a final warning. Then he lands directly in front of the last survivors. The remaining players freeze. Pure fear takes over, because they finally understand something. They're not fighting a player, they're fighting a menace. Dex unleashes a devastating area attack. Blinding explosions tear through the battlefield. The screen becomes pure chaos, and in a single instant, the entire team is blown away, every last one of them. The monitor flashes white. Match over, just like that. The strongest team in the world has been completely annihilated. The team captain stares at his screen. Frozen in shock, sweat drips down his face. Reality finally hits him. His entire squad got destroyed by one person. One person. All 5 members have been defeated. Not by another team, not by a rival organization, by a single opponent. The captain can only ask one question. Who is Dex? The camera shifts toward a simple worn-out mouse, a cheap piece of equipment that looks like it survived multiple wars. And finally, the identity of the legendary player is revealed. The scene changes. A quiet room appears. A young man leans back in his chair, casually eating a snack, completely relaxed, like he didn't just traumatize the strongest team on the planet. His name is Yoon Yi-young. His mouse is literally held together with tape. Meanwhile, every pro team probably has equipment worth thousands. But none of that mattered, because in-game, his nickname is Dan. The camera pans across his modest computer setup. A list of usernames fills the screen. And it just keeps going. These are only a fraction of his countless alternate accounts. Bro has been speedrunning entire servers for years. He reveals his newest alias, Dex. The name glows bright green. His armored character stands proudly in the virtual world. Yi Young casually tosses away his empty snack bag. He doesn't care about fame. He doesn't care about recognition. He doesn't even care about the legends built around his name. His only goal has always been the top. And now, he's already there. The global ranking board displays his name at number 1, mission complete. His fingers move across the keyboard one final time. He presses the last key, and that's it. He's done. Back at Team 01, the captain is still staring at the monitor. His fist slams violently onto the desk. The guy is absolutely furious. He curses at the screen, calls the mysterious player a troll, and honestly, considering what happens next, he's not completely wrong. A chat message suddenly appears. Dex announces that he's quitting the game. Immediately, the room falls silent. The legendary player logs off forever. No celebration, no speech, no explanation. He just leaves. And now, the entire gaming world is about to lose its mind. A white delivery truck drives through the city streets. The name Arcadia is printed on its side. Inside, two workers discuss the shocking news. They laugh about how Dex managed to troll everyone until the very end, but they're still confused. Why walk away when you're already number 1? The truck passes through the city, and the workers begin talking about something even bigger. The era of traditional computer games is ending, something new is coming, something massive. Then a gigantic advertisement catches their attention. Arcadia, the name shines brightly above them. The world's largest technology corporations have joined forces. Agin Electronics provides the hardware. Corporation Argos manages the network. Silicorp contributes advanced biological technology. 3 giants, 1 project, and the result is about to change everything. The top secret collaboration officially begins. This isn't just another game, not even close. The camera shifts to a futuristic laboratory. This is the world's first true virtual reality system, a machine capable of creating an entirely new reality. A person lies inside the pod. They call it the Dreamer. Then a beautiful virtual guide appears. She asks a simple question: are you tired of your current life? She offers something impossible. A world of endless possibilities. The camera reveals a breathtaking fantasy city. Its scale is unbelievable. Its beauty feels unreal. The guide smiles warmly and welcomes everyone to Arcadia. Meanwhile, the delivery truck reaches its final stop. The driver checks the address, then checks it again, because something doesn't add up. This is the home of the last Dreamer purchaser. And the building looks completely run down. The driver stares at the cracked brick walls, the dirty windows, the aging structure. Bro genuinely cannot believe someone living here bought one of the most expensive machines ever created. Inside the building, Yoon Yi-young grins with excitement. His long-awaited Dreamer has finally arrived. He sits at his computer one last time and opens the profile of his legendary character, Dex, the character that conquered the entire game. Yi-young is only 20 years old, yet he's already reached the peak. He opens the character deletion menu. No hesitation, no regret, no second thoughts. He officially quits traditional gaming forever. Then he clicks confirm. The chapter closes on a huge turning point. Because Yi-young isn't retiring, not even close. He's simply moving to the next stage. The Dreamer pod powers on. The connection sequence begins. The machine links directly to his consciousness. At this moment, he's no longer playing a game. He's entering another world. A bright blue sky surrounds him. His body falls through the endless air, and below him, the gigantic city of Arcadia stretches beyond the horizon. His eyes widen instantly. Pure amazement, pure excitement, pure wonder. He screams with absolute joy, because after everything, after reaching number 1, after conquering an entire game, the real adventure is finally beginning. Yoon Yi-young has officially entered Arcadia, and little does he know. Things are about to get absolutely ridiculous. Countless games exist in the world, and every single one of them hides secrets. Some are harmless little jokes left behind by developers. Others are basically cheat codes disguised as content, the kind of hidden rewards that can turn an average player into an absolute monster. Players call them Easter eggs, others know them as hidden pieces, and trust me, the people who find them first usually end up breaking the entire game. Somewhere within a mysterious digital space, a shadowy figure speaks to a white-haired girl named Alice. His voice is calm, yet strangely serious. He tells her he'll be counting on her. Alice nods without hesitation. Everything is for the wonder of the next generation. Whatever that means, it already sounds important. This is virtual reality, not the cheap kind people dreamed about decades ago. This is the real deal. By connecting directly to the brain and digitizing every sense, people can enter a world that feels completely real. No lag, no screen, no separation between reality and fantasy, and Arcadia has somehow made it happen. Back inside the game, Yi-young finally arrives in the starting area. A massive hall filled with players stretches before him. Everyone is shouting, recruiting party members, selling items, trying to get ahead before everyone else. The launch rush is in full swing. Meanwhile, Yi-young simply looks around, trying to take everything in. A blue interface window suddenly appears before him. His character information pops up. Aim Dex, level 1. He blinks in surprise. Honestly, the interface is way simpler than he expected. No giant walls of information, no endless menus, just the essentials. Then a beginner quest appears. His first objective is simple: kill a slime. A tiny green slime bounces around nearby, looking completely harmless. But Arcadia isn't as easy as it looks. Unlike normal games, moving your body perfectly here isn't simple. Every action requires actual control. That's why skills exist. Dash, backstep, slash. These abilities help players perform movements that would normally be difficult. But then again, some players don't need much help, and Yi-young is definitely one of them. He grips his sword tightly, his eyes sharpen. The same focus that once dominated the world's #1 game returns instantly. Then, he moves. A flash of blue light cuts through the air. The slime explodes before it even realizes it's under attack. Quest complete. Just like that, the poor slime got folded within seconds of its existence. Yi-young smiles confidently. Now he gets it. He understands how Arcadia works. And if the first quest was this easy, the next one should be a joke, or so he thought. The quest log updates, and the next objective appears: read 100 books. Yi-young stares at the screen, absolutely speechless. Bro came here expecting monster hunting, not homework. He immediately starts questioning the developer's sanity. Days pass. Inside the Adelan Public Library, two librarians quietly observe a strange sight. One player sits buried beneath mountains of books, and he just keeps reading, page after page, hour after hour, day after day. The librarians can't understand it. Most players don't even read quest dialogue anymore. They mash the skip button and move on. But this guy, he's actually reading everything. At this point, they are more interested in him than the books. Meanwhile, Yi-young is suffering. His soul is slowly leaving his body. He's one bad chapter away from abandoning the quest completely, but somehow, he keeps going, because if there's one thing professional gamers understand, it's that hidden rewards are usually hidden behind annoying requirements. Finally, after countless books, he approaches the front desk and asks a very specific question: is there a sequel to that history book? The librarian freezes. She genuinely looks shocked, as if nobody has ever asked that question before. She can't believe he actually finished reading the first volume. Yi-young shrugs. It wasn't all bad. The section about the oldest trace called Adelan was pretty interesting. The moment those words leave his mouth, the librarian completely changes. Without another word, she disappears into the back room. Moments later, she returns carrying a dusty ancient book. The cover is ornate, far older than the others. Yi-young immediately notices something is different. He asks why it was hidden separately. The librarian smiles mysteriously, because it's a special book, and that is only brought out when someone specifically asks for it. The atmosphere instantly changes. Yi-young reaches toward the cover, and the moment his fingers touch it, meanwhile, far away in the digital space, Alice suddenly appears surrounded by countless floating screens. A warning message flashes before her. Special circumstance detected in the starting village. Hidden quest requirements have been fulfilled. The system begins examining the player responsible, and then a forgotten legend awakens. Long ago, a legendary adventurer hid a mysterious treasure near the village. Nobody knows the truth behind it. Nobody has ever seen it. Only rumors remain. The treasure became known as the oldest trace of darkness. Its creator was the legendary adventurer Ezreal. And according to the stories, it was hidden near a lake beside Adelan. Generations searched for it. Nobody found anything. Eventually, people forgot the legend even existed. But Yi-young's eyes suddenly widen, because there's only one lake near the village, Lake Arun. Without wasting any time, he heads south toward the lake. As the sun begins to set, arrives at a wooden pier overlooking the water. The scenery is peaceful, beautiful even, honestly, not exactly the place you'd expect some terrifying darkness to be hiding. He starts doubting the whole thing. Maybe the legend is fake. Maybe he just wasted days reading books. Then suddenly, a notification appears. A blue interface flashes before his eyes. The final condition has been satisfied. Quest generation initiated. Relevant clues detected. Quest difficulty, B. Influence, A. Quest rank, B+. Main scenario trigger activated. Player dex evaluation rank, first. Quest generated. Searching for the traces of darkness. The description appears before him. A forgotten book claims that the oldest traces of darkness are hidden within Lake Arun. Determine whether the story is true and uncover the traces. Yi-young's eyes widen. A B+ rank quest. On launch week. That's insane. Most raid quests available right now aren't even close to this level. Those are only C rank, yet somehow, he's already triggered something far beyond them. A grin slowly spreads across his face. Now this is exactly what he came for. The hidden content, the secrets nobody else can find, the stuff that changes everything. Finally, Arcadia is getting interesting, but while Yi-young stands above the lake, something beneath the surface begins to move. Far below the water, sunlight barely reaches the depths. An enormous dragon-like creature rests silently on the lake floor. Its body radiates mysterious purple energy, ancient, terrifying, completely unknown. Then, its eyes snap open, and the creature releases a silent screech. The quest has begun, and little does Yi-young know, he's about to stumble into something far bigger than a hidden Easter egg. Yi-young pushes deeper into the forest, searching for anything that might lead him to the truth. A hidden cave, a secret entrance, anything. But no matter where he looks, everything appears completely normal. Nothing feels suspicious, nothing stands out. Then it finally clicks. If the answer isn't around the lake, then it must be under it. Bro takes one deep breath and dives straight into the water. Down he goes, deeper, and somehow, the lake just keeps going. The deeper he sinks, the more confused he becomes. This thing is way too deep. Why does a tiny beginner village lake feel like the entrance to the abyss? Meanwhile, far away at Arcadia's Korean branch, absolute chaos erupts. Warning messages flash across countless monitors. Employees rush around the office. Nobody looks happy, because something impossible just happened. The main scenario has opened prematurely. The executive director looks like he's about to age 10 years on the spot. The game hasn't even been out for a week, yet somehow, a player has already interfered with content that shouldn't be accessible yet. The staff can barely believe it. They're trying to understand how one random user managed to shake the entire game, one player, against years of development, and somehow the player is winning. The director immediately orders emergency preparations. Every department is put on alert. Then he compares server progression reports, and what he sees is terrifying. The Korean server is progressing at an absurd speed compared to America. At this point, the developers are the ones getting speedrun. Back at Lake Arun, Yi-young finally surfaces. He gasps for air, looking completely exhausted. Then another notification appears, main scenario open. His diving skill has reached B rank. He can now stay underwater much longer. His stamina increases by 1, a nice reward. Unfortunately, the actual quest is still going nowhere. He already dove nearly 200 meters and found absolutely nothing. Not a clue, not a treasure, not even a suspicious rock. He's seriously considering giving up. While he's wasting days in a lake, other players are getting stronger, building their accounts, making money. And speaking of money, reality suddenly hits him. The monthly payment for the Dreamer capsule, nearly $1,000,000 every month. The moment he thinks about it, his mood instantly drops. At his current pace, making that kind of money is impossible. Then, a notification suddenly appears. Hidden quest created. Yi-young freezes. Wait a second. This isn't a normal quest. This isn't content available to everyone. This was generated specifically for him, a personalized hidden quest. Now that's dangerous, because hidden quests can either make you rich or completely ruin your account. For a moment, he worries about getting some useless reward, but then his gamer instincts kick in. No way he's letting an exclusive quest slip away. Absolutely not. If there's hidden content, he's clearing it. No matter what, the scene suddenly shifts, all the way to Silicon Valley. Inside Silikov headquarters, one office stands above the rest. The chairman's office. The nameplate reads, Jenica Paul, and surprisingly, the chairman is only 15 years old. Yeah, 15. Meanwhile, most people were struggling with homework at that age. She's running a global tech corporation. Jenica is relaxing peacefully, until she suddenly wakes up. Something caught her attention. She immediately asks Jack about the main scenario incident happening in Korea. A system interface appears before her. The report explains everything. A player discovered a hidden class clue in a beginner village. Further analysis by Alice suggests the clue is connected directly to the main scenario. Jenica stares at the report, completely confused. Why would anyone place something this important inside a starter zone? That makes no sense. The system responds immediately. Because they didn't create it, someone else did. A dark silhouette appears on the screen. The moment Jenica sees it, her expression darkens. Then she absolutely loses it. She curses that damn bastard and slams her desk hard enough to nearly break it. Whatever history exists between those two, it clearly isn't friendly. She quickly searches through old development data. Moments later, her eyes widen. She found it. The hidden class, Bard of Anarchy. She begins reading the information and immediately becomes more confused. The class has no levels, no attack skills, nothing that resembles a normal progression path. She wonders how anyone is supposed to play this thing. Then the system reveals one final piece of information, a special skill. The moment she reads it, her expression changes completely. Shock, pure shock, because she instantly understands the implications and whatever she just learned. It is definitely game-breaking. 10 days pass. Yi-young continues his relentless search. Then finally, after countless dives, he finds something. A glowing purple object emerges from the water. The moment he pulls it out, a huge smile spreads across his face. He finally did it. The dark necklace. His diving skill jumps to a rank. His stamina increases again. His water attribute familiarity rises by 10. He can now dive into depths that would kill ordinary players. The quest searching for the traces of darkness is officially completed, and the dark necklace becomes his reward. He quickly checks the description. The item supposedly contains traces from unknown ancient times. Using it requires a very long period of contemplation. Yi-young immediately narrows his eyes. Bro reads the description twice, then 3 times, because honestly, that sounds less like an item description and more like a threat. Still, the necklace is clearly the clue, the thing he's been searching for this entire time. The system asks whether he wants to use it. Without hesitation, he presses yes. Then another message appears, "Are you sure?" He blinks and presses yes again. Another confirmation box, "Really sure?" He stares at the screen, presses yes, again and again and again. The system just keeps asking, warning him that there will be no turning back, even if he regrets it later. At this point, Yi-young is getting annoyed. Bro starts yelling at the screen, "Yes, I want to use it. Stop asking." Finally, the system responds. It acknowledges that he is indeed just pressing yes. It has verified his determination enough times, and politely tells him not to regret this decision later. Yeah, that's definitely not ominous at all. Then, a mysterious voice echoes through the darkness, "Create chaos," just like it is right now. Yi-young immediately looks around, trying to find the source. Who said that? Before he can get an answer, a brilliant light engulfs him. System notifications explode across the screen. Hidden class acquired, title changed, Bard of Anarchy, and that's when everything goes completely off the rails. The level system is deleted, gone, just gone. The most basic mechanic in every RPG, erased. A brand new stat appears, plausibility. A mission system replaces traditional progression, and the system announces something even stranger. His character will permanently belong to the player. Yi-young stares at the notifications, trying to process what just happened. Then another window appears, new mission generated. He opens it and immediately freezes. Mission objective, kill a beginner. What? The mission requires him to murder a beginner player, specifically someone who hasn't experienced a title change yet. Current count, 0. Time limit, less than 7 days. The cheerful adventure he expected is officially over, because somehow, within the first few weeks of Arcadia, Yi-young has unlocked what might be the most insane hidden class in the entire game. The West Grass Plains of Adelan are more crowded than ever. Beginners are everywhere. Some are fighting slimes, some are learning the controls, and others are just enjoying the launch of the biggest VR game in history. One player rushes forward excitedly. He throws a punch with all his strength. The slime bursts apart, and suddenly, a bright item drop appears. The guy immediately raises it into the air like he just won the lottery. A slime bubble. His friend looks over and gasps. That's worth 50 bronze. The two start celebrating their ridiculous luck. The boy already starts talking about grinding money all weekend. Meanwhile, his friend reminds him that she has mock exams next week. Reality strikes harder than any monster. The two laugh together, completely unaware that something terrifying is watching them from the shadows. Hidden among the trees, Yi-young silently observes the innocent scene, and for the first time, the true horror of his hidden class sinks in, because according to his mission, those 2 kids are his targets. He's supposed to kill players exactly like them. 1 hour earlier, Yi-young tried the most obvious solution imaginable: delete the character. Problem solved, or at least it should have been. The system immediately rejected the request. No deletion available, no escape, no refund on his terrible life choices. Yi-young lets out a frustrated sigh. At this point, it feels like he stepped on a landmine and somehow managed to trigger every hidden trap around it too. He opens his status window again, hoping he missed something, anything. But the result is exactly the same. The level section is completely empty. No level, no experience bar, nothing. The Bard of Anarchy doesn't use levels at all, and that's a massive problem, because every other player in Arcadia is getting stronger every day. Meanwhile, he's stuck. Even if they're equal right now, sooner or later everyone else will surpass him. Then the gap will keep growing forever. At this rate, Bro is about to become obsolete before the game is even a month old. He collapses onto the grass and stares at the sky, questioning every decision that led him here. Maybe listening to that creepy voice wasn't the smartest move. But regret isn't going to help. Doing nothing changes nothing. So he decides to investigate his class properly. There has to be something useful hidden in the system. After searching through the menus, he finds a strange stat, plausibility. The description appears, it can alter the rules of the world. What does that even mean? Yi-young stares at the screen. The explanation somehow manages to answer nothing and raise even more questions. Before he can think about it further, another notification appears, new mission. Kill beginners. The timer immediately starts counting down. He must kill players who haven't changed jobs yet, and he has less than 7 days to do it. The pressure instantly skyrockets. Leaning against a tree, Yi-young stares at the mission in frustration. The system is basically demanding murder. Not monsters, not NPC, players, real people behind the screen. He wonders if this mission will determine the future of his class, or maybe even his survival in Arcadia. After thinking for a while, he comes to a conclusion. First, he needs to see what happens. He'll test it, nothing more. At least that's what he tells himself. He picks up a wooden stick from the ground. Blue energy begins gathering around it, forming a blade. The same eerie power granted by his hidden class. He quietly apologizes in advance. then starts running, fast, really fast. He reminds himself that everyone here is just playing a game, just like him, and then he charges toward the unsuspecting beginners. A scream suddenly echoes across the plains. Yi Young freezes because someone beat him to it. A shadowy figure appears between the beginners and danger. The man sounds annoyed, complaining that he could have killed them in a single strike. The two beginners quickly back away, demanding to know who these people are. That's when several rough-looking players emerge and immediately start acting like they own the place. The leader smirks arrogantly, asking who gave them permission to hunt here. Yi Young watches the scene unfold from a distance, completely confused. The game has barely been out for a day, and these guys are already claiming territory. Bro is speedrunning being a villain. The girl immediately argues back. This is public beginner hunting ground. Nobody needs permission to be here. The PK player gets right in her face, calling her annoying. Then he notices her accent. A few more comments, a few more observations, and suddenly he figures it out. They are high school students. The moment the boy notices the player's crimson-colored name, his face turns pale. That red name means only one thing: player killer, a P-Cur, someone who's already murdered other players. The P-Cur grins, then casually threatens to dox them using their nicknames. The girl instantly freezes. Fear replaces anger. She turns toward the nearby players, begging someone to step in. But nobody moves. Nobody wants trouble. The P-Curs laugh even harder. One of them repeats that it's just a game. Then their leader nods. Exactly. That's why they're doing it. Because in Arcadia, the laws of reality don't exist. Only strength matters. Might makes right. And since it's just a game, they can do whatever they want. Then, a voice suddenly speaks from the darkness. Calm, cold, almost amused. I agree. The P-Curs blink, confused, and then a blade flashes. Everything happens instantly, before they can even react. The attack lands. The P-Curs are cut down on the spot. Not a fight, not a battle, an execution. Steps forward with a sigh. Honestly, he sounds disappointed. It's a pity he couldn't kill them all in one strike. The remaining enemies panic, but it's already over. Dex tears through them effortlessly. The difference in skill is absurd. These guys spent their time bullying beginners. Meanwhile, this dude used to humiliate the #1 team in the world. The gap is astronomical, one after another. The P-Curs fall, then a green name appears above the battlefield. Dex. System notifications immediately flood his vision. Plausibility increased by 1, again, and again, and again. Yi Young quickly realizes something. Every kill grants plausibility. Now he's even more curious about what this stat actually does. The only problem, it's painfully difficult to obtain. The beginners he rescued rush toward him, thanking him repeatedly. Their eyes are practically sparkling. To them, he's a hero, a savior, someone who appeared at the perfect moment. They ask how they can repay him. Dex looks at them silently, then smiles, and somehow, that smile makes everything worse. He calmly tells them they don't need to thank him. The beginners relax. For exactly 1 second, then Dex drops a sentence that completely shatters their relief. Because I'm going to kill you too. The two stare at him, certain they misheard. Dex calmly explains that it's for a mission. The confusion on their faces only grows. Then he reminds them of something the P-Cur said moments ago. It's just a game. The boy finally understands, and immediately points at Dex in horror. His voice cracks as he screams. This guy is a real lunatic. Dex doesn't deny it, doesn't argue, doesn't hesitate. He simply attacks. The beginners fall. More plausibility notifications appear. The number keeps rising. Then Dex slowly turns toward the remaining bystanders. The players who stood there watching everything happen. Players who did absolutely nothing. A chilling smile spreads across his face. He calmly announces that they're next, then asks a simple question. Any complaints? The answer comes in the form of terrified screams. Players scatter across the plains, running for their lives, but the damage is already done, because on that very day, a rumor spreads throughout Arcadia faster than wildfire. The forums explode. The homepage fills with discussions, and everyone is talking about the exact same person. Not a hero, not a top player, not a guild master. A genuine psychopath has appeared inside Arcadia, and his name is Dex. The moon hangs high above the dark forest. Silver light spills across the trees. An owl watches silently from a distant branch. Everything seems peaceful until a terrified scream shatters the night. A player bursts through the forest at full speed. Branches snap behind him. His breathing is ragged. His face is pale with fear. Bro isn't grinding anymore. He's running for his life. Desperately screams for help, but the only thing answering him is the cold night air. Then disaster strikes. His foot catches on a hidden root, and he crashes face first into the ground. The impact is brutal. A status window immediately appears, movement speed severely reduced. The player's heart sinks, because he already knows what that means. He's absolutely cooked. He desperately tries to crawl, dragging himself across the dirt. Then slowly, he looks back into the darkness, and sees them, two glowing red eyes staring directly at him. The eyes don't blink. They don't move. They just watch. A hooded figure slowly steps from the shadows. Each step feels heavier than the last. The player's heartbeat pounds violently in his chest. The figure tilts his head, then reveals a twisted smile. And instantly, the player's soul nearly leaves his body. It's Dex, the nightmare of the beginner zone, the serial killer of Arcadia. The player screams in pure terror, demanding to know why he's being hunted. What did he do wrong? Why him? Dex doesn't answer, not even a little. He simply raises his blade. The player immediately starts making threats. He'll report him. He'll contact the developers. He'll get him banned. Dex just laughs. The threat is so pathetic it barely deserves a response. Then he calmly says something even more terrifying. He's only following orders. The player freezes. Orders? What orders? Before he can ask another question, the blade flashes beneath the moonlight. One clean strike, and it's over. A notification appears. Kill confirmed. Plausibility increased by 1. Dex stares down at the fallen player, then lets out a tired yawn. At this point, the endless hunt is becoming exhausting. Meanwhile, the system quietly explains the punishment awaiting every victim. Death means a 24-hour lockout, no logging in, no revenge, no grinding, nothing. Back in the real world. A furious gamer is currently losing his mind. He screams into customer support, demanding answers, demanding justice, demanding literally anything, because somehow he's being punished for another player's crimes. Meanwhile, Arcadia's customer service department is descending into complete chaos. Phones ring non-stop, employees are drowning in complaints. The atmosphere feels like a battlefield. One manager storms across the floor, demanding to know what's happening. An exhausted employee explains the situation. Player kill complaints are flooding the servers, thousands of them. The manager's expression immediately darkens. What kind of lunatic is causing this disaster? Moments later, mandatory overtime is declared for everyone. The entire department collectively suffers psychic damage. Back in Arcadia, Dex opens his status window. His plausibility stat glows brightly. The number has increased dramatically. He quickly calculates the total victims, then nods. Not bad, especially for only 2 sleepless nights. Bro has been farming players harder than most people farm monsters. He yawns again. The exhaustion is finally catching up, honestly. This mission is way harder than he expected, not because of the combat. The combat is easy. The annoying part is being hated by literally everyone. Every kill comes with another person cursing his existence. Even Dex starts questioning things. Is slaughtering over 1,000 beginners immediately after launch really okay? Will this completely destroy game operations? Why would the developers even create a quest like this? For a moment, he thinks about it seriously, then immediately shrugs. Not his problem. If the game wants chaos, it's getting chaos. Suddenly, a soft sound reaches his ears. Dex turns around, only to find a group of slimes staring at him. The same slimes everyone else spends their time punching. A notification appears. Favorability with slimes increased. The system informs him that his actions have indirectly protected them. Then something unexpected happens. The slimes swarm him, affectionately, like excited puppies. Dex jumps slightly in surprise, then slowly relaxes. Honestly, this might be the first positive social interaction he's had all week. He picks up one of the slimes and hugs it. At least somebody likes him. Even if it's literally a slime. The slimes suddenly begin making urgent noises. Their cheerful mood disappears instantly. All of them stare toward a nearby cave entrance. Deep within the darkness, several glowing eyes appear, watching, waiting. Dex immediately understands something dangerous is coming. He apologizes to the slimes, explaining that he needs to leave before somebody decides to hunt him again. And right on cue, torches suddenly light up the forest. A large group of players emerges from the darkness. The leader immediately spots him, then points dramatically. There he is, get him. The chase begins. Dex takes off through the trees. Branches whip past him. Players pour through the forest behind him. The gap slowly closes. Then suddenly, Dex reaches a dead end. A massive cliff blocks his path. The hunters surround him from every direction. Dozens of players close in. The leader bursts out laughing, mocking him for running straight into a trap. According to him, Dex is finished, dead, cornered, no escape. Dex simply smiles and immediately does something completely insane. No hesitation, no fear, no plan that anyone can see. He just launches himself off the cliff. The players rush forward and look over the edge, then collectively lose their minds. The leader screams in disbelief, calling him a crazy bastard, because who actually jumps off a cliff to escape? Apparently Dex does. As he plummets through the air, his expression remains completely calm, which somehow makes it even scarier. Then right before impact, he logs out, just like that, gone. The footage of the jump spreads instantly, combined with recordings of his previous massacres. The internet explodes, videos go viral, forum threads multiply by the minute, comments flood every platform. Some players are horrified, others can't stop laughing. Few think it's the greatest roleplay they've ever seen. Many demand immediate action. Meanwhile, one survivor begins investigating everything carefully. He gathers reports, counts victims, analyzes patterns. Eventually, The number exceeds 700 beginner kills. The survivor reaches a conclusion. The killer is probably low level, still trapped within the starting region, and if that's true, then he can be hunted immediately. He posts a public call to action, recruiting volunteers for an assassination squad. Players from all over the area answer the call. Soon, the town square fills with people. Hundreds gather around a massive fountain. Everyone has the same goal: take down Dex. The organizer stands proudly before the crowd, then officially announces the beginning of the troll cleanup meeting. Arcadia was built around player-created stories, player-created conflicts, player-created legends, and somewhere deep within the system, Alice notices the gathering. The advanced AI begins investigating. She traces the event back to the chaos surrounding Dex, then connects everything to the main scenario. By Alice's will, a new quest is born. System windows suddenly appear before every player present. The crowd falls silent. A quest notification glows brightly. Objective: catch the serial beginner killer. Find the individual hunting beginners throughout the slime habitat. Bring an end to his rampage. The players stare at the quest, then immediately erupt into cheers. What started as a player movement has become an official mission. Meanwhile, inside Arcadia's Korean branch, things are somehow even worse. Red warning lights flash across the scenario team office. The entire office freezes. Team manager Kang Tae-hoon immediately explodes. His voice echoes through the department. Why did a quest generate without any notice? Nobody answers, because honestly, they're all wondering the exact same thing. Staff members scramble to investigate, trying desperately to find the cause. The game hasn't even been out for long, and somehow they're already dealing with a disaster-level scenario. The atmosphere becomes painfully tense because everyone understands something important. This shouldn't be possible. Normally, a scenario takes months to develop, like planting a seed and waiting for it to bloom. Countless variables need to align. Player actions need to accumulate. The world needs time to react, but this thing happened in only 2 days. 2 days. Tae-hoon stares at the report in complete disbelief. That's not progression, that's speedrunning reality. There has to be a reason, a trigger, something. Then a video begins playing on his tablet. Footage shows a hooded figure standing in darkness. Silent, motionless, menacing. The label beneath the video reads, "Beginner Murderer." An employee nervously explains the situation. A user has been peeking inside the beginner hunting grounds, and according to their analysis, that player appears directly connected to the main scenario. The moment Tae-hoon hears that, his eyes narrow. Who is he? It's his identity. Where does he live? The employee immediately hesitates. That's where things get complicated. Headquarters placed restrictions on the system. They don't have clearance to access that information. The room falls silent. Tae-hoon frowns deeply. Why would headquarters protect some random player? Just who exactly is this guy? Then another report appears, and everyone's expressions change. PK score 1025. The room collectively takes psychic damage, 1025 kills. Bro isn't farming players anymore, he's farming statistics. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Yi-young slowly wakes up, still exhausted from days of chaos. He stretches, then glances at his monitor, and immediately regrets it. A giant event poster fills the screen. Catch the killer. Yeah, that's definitely about him. He clicks the page, then notices the comment count, over 2,000 comments. Most people would be proud to trend that hard. Yi-young just sighs heavily. This is going to be such a headache. For a moment, he considers stopping entirely, but then reality hits again. The Dreamer capsule installments. The money, the debt, the pressure. His gaze shifts toward the capsule, sitting silently in the corner of the room. What is he supposed to do now? Back inside Arcadia, Dex sits quietly atop a hill, looking down over the endless green plains. Then he finally accepts reality. The server literally created a quest to hunt him. That's insane. The slime habitat is finished. He can't hunt there anymore. Every player in the region is looking for him. He needs a new strategy, a new hunting ground, a new way forward. Then suddenly, a strange noise interrupts his thoughts. He looks down. A slime is staring directly at him, and somehow, the little guy looks annoyed. Dex lets out a sigh. Even the slimes are judging him now. Nearby players continue struggling against monsters, complaining about how difficult everything feels. Then one of them notices Dex standing near a target. Immediately they start shouting, "Don't steal our kill." Dex completely ignores them, which somehow makes them even angrier. One player stomps over, then shoves him, demanding to know if he's deaf. Dex slowly turns toward him and smiles. The moment that smile appears, a single word flashes across the player's vision: PK, bright red, impossible to miss. The player's face instantly turns white. His soul practically leaves his body. The PK criminal is here. He screams before turning around and running for his life. Nearby players hear the commotion, then they see the name, the rumors, the stories, the event target. Suddenly one word appears in everyone's minds: reward. The crowd starts gathering. Their eyes glow with terrifying determination. The original players desperately try to explain. They only shoved him. That's all they did. But nobody cares. The reward has already erased all logic. Dex takes one look at the crowd and immediately starts running. Because even he understands what's happening now. The hunter has become the hunted, players pour after him, hundreds of footsteps thunder through the grasslands, people scream about event rewards, calling him a murderer, calling him a psychopath, anything they can think of. Then one player finally realizes something horrifying, those glowing eyes surrounding him, those terrifying expressions, those obsessed faces. They look exactly like the rumors describing Dex. The crowd hunting him has become just as crazy as he is. The irony is beautiful. The chaos escalates even further. Eventually, Dex barely escapes into the deep forest. He finally creates some distance, only to notice something strange. The slime followed him, all the way here. The tiny creature bounces beside him loyally. Dex reaches down and pets it, asking if its injury is okay. A system notification immediately appears. You rescued a slime in danger. Familiarity with slime species has reached maximum. New title acquired. Slime's friend. Dex stares at the title, then at the slime, then back at the title. Honestly, this might be the healthiest relationship he currently has. He sits on a nearby stump with the slime in his lap. Then everything starts making sense. For every beginner he killed, a slime survived. The system had been tracking that relationship the entire time. Still, a title alone won't save him. Nothing changes just because level 1 slimes like him. He needs something bigger, something game-changing. Then another notification appears. Minimum plausibility requirement achieved. A friendly relationship with the species has been established. Plausibility may now be used to assist the species. Dex immediately becomes interested, very interested. He opens the slime status screen. Vitality, 50. Attack power, 10. Nothing impressive. Then he notices another number. Plausibility available. 1025. Same points earned from every player he killed. A slow grin spreads across his face. Then he starts laughing, not because he's gone insane, although that's definitely debatable, but because he finally understands. This is what plausibility was meant for, not personal strength, not levels. The ability to rewrite reality itself. A warning window immediately appears. Permanent changes will be applied. Are you sure? Most players would hesitate. Dex presses yes instantly, without even blinking, and that's when things get absolutely ridiculous. A massive beam of light erupts into the sky. The forest shakes. The ground trembles. Players across the area stop what they are doing. Everyone looks toward the pillar of light. Then countless notifications begin appearing. The slime species' basic statistics have been altered. Their eyes glow bright red. The cute beginner monsters are gone. Something else stands in their place now, something terrifying. Level 15. Every single slime has evolved into a monster far beyond beginner players. And just like that, Dex may have accidentally turned the starting zone into a nightmare. To be continued. Players are running for their lives from the glowing slimes. Bro, the entire beginner zone has turned into a nightmare overnight. Then a tiny slime hops forward with an innocent little squeak. Cute, harmless, or so they thought. One player swings his sword without hesitation. The blade lands cleanly, and absolutely nothing happens. The slime tilts its head like it's genuinely confused about what just happened. Meanwhile, the player starts freaking out. He yells that he's dealing 0 damage, and before he can process what's happening, his HP starts evaporating. Just 2 hits, that's all it takes. Bro is already on death's door. He starts screaming for help, begging anyone nearby to save him. But at this point, everyone is too busy trying not to get folded themselves. Up above on a cliff, Dex watches the entire disaster unfold, and this dude is having the time of his life. He can't stop laughing at how ridiculously messed up everything has become. As he watches the battlefield turn into pure chaos, something clicks in his mind. These slimes are supposed to be passive monsters. They normally don't attack first. But now, they're actively hunting players. Dex narrows his eyes. Did their traits change after leveling up? Little did everyone know. The answer was even crazier. Dex quickly connects the dots. The culprit is plausibility. The stat everyone overlooked. The stat nobody truly understood. And now, its real power is finally showing itself. This thing isn't just bending the rules. It's rewriting the game itself. Then Dex notices a familiar group in the distance, and Bro immediately recognizes them. It's the same squad that was chasing him earlier. The guys who thought they were the hunters. Yeah, not anymore. Now they're completely surrounded by glowing green monsters. The leader desperately screams for the slimes to back off, as if they were actually going to listen. Big mistake. Slime suddenly launches itself straight at his face. No warning, no hesitation, just instant violence. Boom, the impact lands, and the leader gets absolutely deleted. No mercy, no struggle, just gone. A system notification appears immediately. Kill confirmed. The remaining players freeze on the spot. Their confidence disappears instantly. They begin screaming for help. But help isn't coming. The horde keeps closing in. The notifications start stacking one after another. More deaths, and even more deaths. Dex watches the massacre with a massive grin on his face. At this point, he realizes something incredible. This strategy is insanely efficient, way better than grinding monsters himself. 2 hours pass in what feels like minutes. And the results are absolutely ridiculous. His plausibility stat shoots upward like a rocket, nearly 4,000. 4,000. Dex can't help laughing. The gains are unbelievable. In just 2 hours, he earns more than he managed to collect across several days. At this point, bro isn't farming anymore. He's speedrunning. Naturally, Dex decides to push things even further. If these slimes can still grow stronger, he's going to squeeze every last drop of value from them. But then, a system window suddenly appears in front of him and immediately ruins his plans. The slimes have reached level 15, maximum growth achieved. They can't become any stronger. Dex clicks his tongue in frustration. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. Nothing ever is. He turns toward his army of loyal slimes, a literal monster battalion at this point, and tells them he's counting on them. The slimes bounce excitedly in response, cheering together as one. Honestly, it's kind of adorable, and also terrifying. Meanwhile, far away at Arcadia's Korean branch, things are getting serious. The executive director slams his fist onto the table. The entire room goes silent. He demands an immediate explanation. One employee nervously steps forward, practically trembling. He reports that slime stats have shown abnormal strengthening throughout the day, and beginner deaths have skyrocketed. The director immediately asks about headquarters. Have they responded? The employee shakes his head. Nothing. No answers. No explanation. The director releases a heavy sigh. At this point, waiting around isn't an option anymore. He decides to investigate personally. Then he asks the most important question. Just how much stronger have these monsters become? Because unless they are twice as strong, this situation makes no sense. The employee hesitates, clearly afraid to say it. Then he finally reveals the number 10 times. The room goes silent. The executive just stares, completely stunned. Not double, not triple, 10 times stronger. Bro thought he misheard. But no, the number is real. The employees in the room can barely breathe. Then the executive suddenly realizes the terrifying implication. He immediately asks for the base HP of a new player. The answer comes back instantly, 100. Exactly 100. The executive lets out a bitter laugh, because he already knows the conclusion. The math is simple. With the current attack power, a beginner gets one shot every single time. A level 1 player has absolutely no chance. They're completely cooked, and that's when the executive understands something important. This isn't some random bug. Arcadia is designed with near-perfect calculations. Mistakes like this don't just happen. Something much bigger is going on, something dangerous. If he can't find the answer from outside the system, then he'll have to enter it himself, without another word. He steps into the capsule, authority verification begins, administrator privileges are checked, then the confirmation arrives, level 3 administrator access granted. The executive enters the digital world, determined to uncover the truth. He looks into the vast virtual space and calls out loudly, demanding answers, demanding the truth. Then he summons the one being who might know what's happening, Alice. A beam of brilliant blue light appears before him, and the mysterious AI materializes from within it. What Alice reveals next changes everything. Dex stands alone in the beginner hunting ground, noting the eerie silence. He realizes the area is completely deserted. Something must have happened to clear out the players. He checks his quest window. The kill count is at 9,640, but the numbers are slowing down. Rumors of the danger must have spread, scaring away the beginners. To make matters worse, level 15 adventurers have started arriving to hunt the slimes. These higher-level players are farming the monsters for massive experience gains. Dex realizes it is becoming difficult for him and his slimes to deal with these stronger opponents. His farming spot is becoming less efficient. However, the kill count hasn't stopped completely. The counter ticks up to 9,987. Suddenly, a loud chime rings out. He has reached 10,000 kills. The system declares him an evil murderer recognized by all. He obtains the title Beginner Killer. The mission rewards improve, granting him an intermediate reward. A glowing golden chest appears before him. Dex shouts jackpot in excitement. He eagerly reaches out to accept the reward, but instead of gold, a massive explosion of purple energy erupts. Dex is thrown back, wondering if the reward was a trap. A dark, floating egg hovers in the center of the chaos. He watches as the black shell begins to crack. Bright light bursts forth. The system announces he has obtained a familiar. From the light, a small, white-haired demon with wings emerges. A massive demonic figure erupts from a vortex of purple energy. The entire area shakes violently, and the first thing this monster says is, "Who dares summon me?" Bro did not arrive quietly. The pressure alone is enough to make anyone freeze. Even Dex can feel the overwhelming weight crushing down on him. Then a title card flashes across the screen, and the truth is revealed. The Monarch of Chaos, Demon King Satan. Dex's eyes widen immediately. Meanwhile, the Demon King starts laughing. He quickly realizes a complete summoning isn't possible. His true body can't fully cross over, so he's been forced into a younger form. Still, the demon doesn't seem worried at all. He proudly declares that this much power is more than enough to destroy his angelic enemies. Sounds terrifying, until Dex looks down and sees what actually got summoned. Bro, it's tiny. The small demon stares at his body in complete disbelief, then immediately starts panicking. He screams about his reduced size. He flails around dramatically, pointing directly at Dex, demanding answers. Meanwhile, Dex is completely calm. He simply explains that he received a reward. Then the system window appears and drops the funniest bombshell imaginable. The Demon King has been registered as Dex's familiar. Silence for about 1 second. Then Satan completely loses it. The guy explodes in pure rage. He refuses to believe it. A legendary ruler of the demon realm, reduced to a familiar, Satan sits on the grass looking completely defeated. He curses his terrible luck, complaining that this is how his old age ends. Then he suddenly shouts for Dex's attention. Dex casually turns his head. Satan explains that they're stuck together now, like it or not. The contract is real. He's finally accepted reality, at least a little. Dex quietly listens. Then Satan suddenly jumps onto his shoulder, then onto his head, like he owns the place. He declares they should get along moving forward. Dex immediately feels the extra weight, and honestly, he's starting to question whether summoning the Demon King was actually a good thing. Then Satan suddenly floats into the air. A grin spreads across his face. His eyes lock onto Dex. He senses something unusual, something extremely rare. Dex looks confused. What is this guy talking about? That's when a system window appears and explains everything. Plausibility can unleash the power of familiars. There's a catch. It warns about deception and manipulation. The moment Satan reads it, everything clicks. His eyes light up instantly. Now he understands why he was summoned, and more importantly, he sees opportunity, a chance to defeat the angels who have been haunting him forever. Dex notices the demon muttering to himself and demands an explanation. Satan doesn't waste any time. He asks for the power directly. Give it to me. Dex blinks, still confused. Satan points dramatically at him, then describes a power capable of changing the laws of the world itself, a power that twists reality, a power that rewrites possibility. And suddenly, Dex understands exactly what he's talking about. Plausibility. Satan confirms it immediately. The Demon King practically starts negotiating on the spot. He argues that humans have limits, but not him. Give him the stat, and he'll use it properly. He even promises a reward, a massive reward. Dex imagines mountains of gold appearing before him, but before agreeing, he checks his current plausibility stat, nearly 9,000. The number alone is ridiculous. And one thing becomes very clear. If the Demon King wants it this badly, then this stat is way more valuable than anyone realizes. So Dex asks the important question, what's the exchange rate? Satan pauses, actually thinking about it. Then a giant magical circle appears beneath him. The demon prepares a serious deal. His first offer appears immediately. A dark purple cloak materializes before Dex. The item window opens and reveals its identity. The legendary Cloak of Narble. Sounds amazing until Dex checks the requirements. Level 150. Bro almost starts laughing. The strongest player on the American server is barely in the 50s. There is absolutely no universe where he can equip this thing anytime soon, so he rejects the offer immediately. Satan realizes his mistake. Apparently offering endgame gear to a beginner wasn't the greatest strategy. Who would have guessed? The Demon King sighs, then asks what the human actually wants. Dex thinks carefully, and then a crazy idea suddenly appears, one of those ideas that should never work. Asks a simple question, can you strengthen monsters? Satan looks confused. Which monster? Dex answers immediately, slimes. The world practically freezes. Satan just stares at him. For a long moment, nothing happens. Then the Demon King bursts into uncontrollable laughter. Bro thinks Dex has completely lost his mind. Out of every possible wish, every treasure, every artifact, every forbidden power, this dude chose slimes. Satan has existed for countless years, and he's never heard a request this ridiculous. Dex ignores the laughter and asks again, can you do it? Satan grins confidently. His pride as the Demon King won't allow hesitation. He declares there is nothing beyond his power, nothing. Then he asks for the price. Dex opens his status window, looks at all that plausibility, and makes the biggest gamble yet. He offers all of it, every single point. Satan immediately falls silent. Even he wasn't expecting that. 9,000 plausibility, just handed over. After a brief pause, the Demon King accepts. Instantly, a gigantic purple magic circle expands beneath them. The contract is sealed. Dark purple lightning tears across the sky. The forest trembles violently. Trees sway under unimaginable pressure. And then, something begins rising from the center of the blinding light. Something enormous, something completely new. A colossal figure slowly emerges. Long green hair dances through the chaotic storm. A glowing blue core shines from her chest. Pure power radiates in every direction. Then the system window finally appears and reveals the result of Dex's insane gamble. The Slime Queen has been born, level 100, and just like that, things become absolutely ridiculous. Fire Spear engulfs the slime in flames. The creature lets out a sharp cry before dissolving. The player laughs, claiming the victory was too easy. The party celebrates the massive amount of experience points. They realize that even though the slimes are level 20, they are still weak monsters with simple patterns. This habitat has become the perfect hunting ground for them. They dream of reaching the masked ranker spots if they keep this up. Suddenly, the ground trembles violently beneath their feet. A dark voice echoes in the air, speaking of anger and weak existences. The players freeze in confusion as the earth cracks open. Another voice screams for revenge and blood. Purple energy erupts from the ground, sending a shockwave through the forest. The players are thrown back, wondering if it is an earthquake. They look up to see the sky filled with glowing purple slimes. The leader screams in terror, convinced they are about to die. He yells for someone to save them. But the swarm of slimes flies right past them, ignoring them completely. The players are left bewildered, watching the glowing orbs rush toward a specific destination. One player points to a massive shadow gathering in the distance. He questions if he is seeing things. Status windows pop up before everyone's eyes simultaneously. The system reveals the truth. The slimes that loved peace have been slaughtered without mercy by humans. After waiting patiently, they have decided it is time to fight for their peace. Numerous slimes have sacrificed themselves for the birth of a great ruler. A blinding light erupts from the center of the swarm. The Slime Queen appears at level 100. The Slime Queen unleashes a deafening roar. Purple energy tears through the forest. Massive trees collapse onto the players. One player screams as his teammate dies instantly. Another is pinned under the wood and begs for help. The fear of the death penalty paralyzes him. The red-haired leader stares up at the giant queen in pure horror. He curses at the impossible situation. Dex watches the chaos from a high cliff. He turns to his familiar in shock. He demands to know what the demon just did. Satan shrugs and claims he only followed orders. Dex realizes he asked for them to be stronger, but not this much. Satan laughs maniacally at the sheer power of the queen. He explains the true nature of plausibility. He awakened their thirst for revenge against humanity. He used the stat to push their evolution to the absolute limit. His fist glows with demonic energy as he revels in the chaos. Down below, the players desperately form a defense line. The leader screams for them to hold or face total annihilation. Purple slimes crash against their shields. System windows flash across the sky. The main scenario officially begins. The quest to defeat the beginner killer is instantly deleted. A new linked quest appears in its place. The slime's wrath has arrived. The entire beginner town receives the notification at once. The objective is to protect the town and kill the queen. The penalty for failure is the permanent destruction of the beginner town. Panic spreads through the crowd. They realize this game is about to change forever. The scream pierces the air near the castle walls. A female player stares in absolute terror. She realizes they are completely and utterly doomed. The massive slime queen towers over the beginner town, high above. Dex watches the chaos unfold calmly. Satan asks what his master plans to do next. He suggests destroying the guardian crystal secretly to end the event. Dex realizes the demon is trying to manipulate him. He decides to simply observe for now. Satan laughs maniacally, realizing Dex wants to crush their hopes at the very last second. He calls Dex the real evil one. Notifications flood Dex's vision one after another. He has killed another beginner. Plausibility increases by 1. The messages stack up rapidly in the air. Dex realizes the situation is exactly as the demon described. He must make a decision soon. He looks down at the warring factions below. He wonders which side will grant him the greater reward. A wicked smile spreads across his face. He reaches out his hand, ready to choose the path of maximum gain. Which side would he gain more by helping? The Slime Queen lets out a terrifying roar. Her status window reveals her monstrous power, level 100 with over 12,000 health and 5,000 attack power. She possesses skills like Roar of the Ruler and Rapid Regeneration. Her characteristic is a deep loathing for humans. Inside the Arcadia Korean branch, an emergency meeting is underway. The staff is in a panic. Someone screams that the server must be taken down immediately. They insist something is wrong with the system. Kang Ti-hoon argues their level 100 monster cannot exist in a beginner village. Hwang Jihai confirms they never designed such a creature. She suspects headquarters planned it. The executive director sits in silence. He connects the sudden main scenario, the suspicious beginner killer quest, and the raid of the slime's wrath. He realizes the truth. He asks if they think the lazy headquarters planned this. He reveals that a single user caused all of this. The appearance of the main scenario, the beginner killer, the slime stat manipulation, and the boss monster, all of it. The staff is stunned into silence. The director states they cannot interfere because it is user gameplay. That is the policy of Arcadia, infinite possibilities and infinite freedom. Even if there is a penalty, if the quest fails, the beginner town will be permanently destroyed. Back in the game, the battle rages on. An NPC guard swings his sword desperately. He manages to take down one slime, but he is overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. He wonders where they all came from. A slime stares blankly at another guard. The guard realizes he is done for. The slime attacks. The situation is critical. The young knight shouts for the old man to retreat while there is a chance. They sprint through the burning streets of the village. Once safe in an alleyway, the young knight tells the older trooper to heal up. The older knight, security trooper Bayern, thanks him profusely. He says the young knight reminds him of a legendary warrior from his grandfather's tales, a hero who helped others in danger. The young knight feels a bit embarrassed by the praise. Bayern asks him to look for him later, mentioning records in his grandfather's diary. Suddenly, a hidden quest window appears. The quest is Savior, and he has fulfilled the conditions for job advancement. He accepts the quest. Will you accept the hero in the old tales? He is thrilled to find a hidden job he only heard rumors about. He agrees to meet Bayern after they stop the monster. 3 days have passed since the raid began. Half of the 7-day limit is gone. Users were losing helplessly at first, but Korean users don't back down. High-level players arrive to join the fight, turning the tide. Beginners formed systematic teams to support. A special title was discovered, Slime Slaughter. It grants increased defense and damage against slimes. With this new advantage, the users began to see hope. They rallied together under a banner, pushing back the slime horde. High above on a cliff, Dex watches the battle unfold. His kill count for the beginner quest has skyrocketed, over 32,000 kills. Satan laughs maniacally, praising Dex for being more devil-like than a devil. Dex finds it strange to be praised by a demon for doing bad things. He checks his plausibility stat. It has reached over 22,000. He realizes the chaos of the war helped him accumulate points much faster than killing one by one. Satan asks what he plans to do now. Satan remarks on the current situation. If Dex doesn't do anything, the humans will probably win. Dex watches the humans pushing back the slime army. A small smile plays on his lips. He says that wouldn't be any fun. He opens his status window. Dark energy begins to swirl violently around him. Satan jumps back in alarm, wondering if Dex got blood on him. Dex ignores the panic, stating it is time to choose a side. Satan grins wickedly, saying, and from this moment forth, Dex declares that they are taking the slime's side. The scene shifts to the Arcadia headquarters. Inside the CEO's office, Kang Tae-hoon pleads with the woman behind the desk. He begs her to please stop the raid quest. The nameplate on the desk reveals her identity, Lee Myeon, the CEO of Arcadia. The countdown begins, 10 minutes remaining. The timer continues ticking down without mercy, and just like that, the final 10 minutes of the raid officially begin. Suddenly, the sky turns a deep crimson red, not normal red, the kind of red that immediately tells you something has gone horribly wrong. The players look up in confusion, then in fear. The atmosphere changes instantly. Moments ago they were relieved. Now their stomachs are sinking. For 7 entire days, the slime raid has pushed everyone to their limits. What started as a beginner event turned into a complete war zone. Meanwhile, at the very top of the giant slime, Dex quietly smiles, because unlike everyone else, he knows the real raid hasn't even started yet. He calmly says it's time to begin, and Bro sounds way too confident. One player desperately tries to rally the crowd. He tells everyone not to panic over the red sky, claims victory is already guaranteed, but the funny part is, his voice is shaking the entire time. Even he doesn't believe his own words. Then an old warrior suddenly narrows his eyes and realizes the truth. His face immediately turns pale. He whispers only 3 words, "She's moving." The slime queen begins glowing with terrifying energy. The battlefield trembles. The air itself feels heavy. Every sacrifice made by the slimes, every death, every ounce of hatred, every bit of vengeance toward humanity. It all leads to this moment. Then the queen opens her mouth and unleashes a deafening roar. The sound shakes the entire battlefield. A system notification immediately appears. Boss monster has appeared. And just like that, pure chaos erupts. The queen slams downward with overwhelming force. The ground explodes beneath her attack. Players scatter in every direction, screaming in terror, unable to believe what they are seeing. This thing is supposed to be a slime, yet it looks more like a natural disaster. A guild leader desperately shouts for everyone to hold formation. Attack with everything you've got. Don't break ranks. But fear has already won. The players are panicking. One guy starts yelling that it's only a game. Only a game, only a game. At this point, he's clearly trying to convince himself, not anyone else. Then, a gigantic purple hand reaches down from the sky. Everyone slowly looks upward and freezes. For the first time, they realize something terrifying. This world feels far too real to be just a game. The players stare at the colossal slime queen. Terrifying question enters everyone's mind. Can this thing even be killed? Before anyone can answer, the queen launches another devastating attack. The battlefield erupts once again. Then a red-haired leader steps forward and starts screaming for everyone to listen. He reveals the truth of the situation. They don't need to defeat the boss. They only need to survive. 5 more minutes. That's all. Protect the Guardian Stone. Keep the queen distracted, and victory is theirs. The players immediately gather around the glowing crystal in the center of the plaza. Their fear hasn't disappeared, but their determination returns. They declare they'll protect the reputation of Korean players no matter what. The red-haired leader raises his weapon and gives the order, human wave strategy, ignoring the fear, ignoring death, ignoring the impossible odds. At this point, they're betting everything on a final stand. The timer continues falling, 10 seconds remaining. The slime queen stretches toward the guardian stone. 9, 8, 7, arrows flood the sky, magic spells explode against her body. 6, 5. The red-haired leader suddenly leaps into the air. His flaming sword burns brightly. He screams at the top of his lungs and swings with everything he has. 4, 3, then he starts laughing because he believes they've done it. The timer is almost finished. The queen is too late. 2, 1. He shouts one final curse toward the giant slime, and the countdown reaches 0, victory. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Meanwhile, back in the real world, the CEO calmly sits inside her office, completely composed, completely relaxed, as if the entire server isn't on fire. She asks the executive director a simple question. Does he truly want authorization to stop the raid? The executive director immediately confirms he wants intervention now. But the CEO calmly shakes her head. She explains something important. They are not gods, not even in Arcadia. They cannot simply erase events they dislike. Their job is to manage the game, to prepare countermeasures, to adapt, not control every outcome. Back inside Arcadia, the red-haired leader collapses onto the ground, completely exhausted. He laughs in relief. The nightmare is over. They survived, or so he thinks. Then, crack, a sharp sound echoes across the plaza. Everyone freezes. Another crack follows. A system notification appears. Village protection has been lost. The red-haired leader stares blankly at the screen, unable to process what he's seeing. Then the next notification arrives. Quest failed, and that's when everyone notices him. Dex casually shrugs and claims his hand slipped. Rose says it with a straight face too. Then the final notification appears. Beginner Village has been permanently destroyed. The red-haired leader immediately loses his mind. He screams at Dex in pure rage, calling him every name he can think of. Meanwhile, Dex is busy wondering about something completely different. Why didn't he get any plausibility points for that kill? After a brief moment, he shrugs, doesn't matter. He's already got plenty. Then more players rush into the plaza, confused, disoriented, trying to understand what just happened. They expected monsters. They expected the slime queen. Then they see him, a single user standing atop the ruined pedestal. Not a monster, not an NPC, a player. The player responsible for destroying everything. Dex slowly looks down at the crowd. A smirk spreads across his face, and little did they know, the real chaos was only getting started. Then reality hits, and all that shock instantly transforms into rage. Every single player turns toward the figure standing on the pedestal, Dex, the man responsible for everything. The crowd completely loses it. They start screaming at him from every direction, calling him a psychopath, a lunatic, a complete troll. Bro really destroyed an entire village just because he could. Dex simply smirks at their fury, which somehow makes them even angrier. The enraged players draw their weapons. They rush forward without hesitation. Some of them swear they'll hunt him down forever. For their entire gaming careers, that's how personal this has become. But Dex casually waves it off and tells them this isn't the time for introductions. The players freeze in confusion. What does that even mean? Then the answer arrives. System announcement echoes throughout the battlefield. The main scenario has officially begun. The Link quest, Slime Wrath, has failed. The beginner village has been permanently destroyed before anyone can react. A massive explosion of green and purple energy erupts across the plaza. The entire area shakes violently, and that's when things get weird. Really weird, the green liquid begins floating into the air, piece by piece, droplet by droplet. The players stare upward in disbelief. Then someone finally realizes the truth. The remains are combining. They're merging together, creating something new. Panic spreads instantly because everyone understands what that means. New slimes are being born. One player immediately objects. Monsters can't regenerate inside a village during a raid. That's impossible. Unfortunately, the game clearly didn't get that memo. A tiny slime suddenly bounces across the ground. Then a blinding golden light erupts from the slime-covered plaza. The shockwave explodes outward, and from the glowing energy, giant purple slimes begin rising from the earth, one after another, towering above the terrified players. Then another system notification appears. The formerly weak slimes have won their battle. They have successfully driven humanity from their home. And just like that, the slimes win. The giant purple slimes unleash a deafening roar. Their victory cry echoes across the ruined village. The system announces another update. The slimes are now thriving inside former human territory. The age of the village is over. The age of slimes has begun. Then a throne emerges, made entirely from green crystal. A beautiful figure slowly sits upon it. The slime queen, elegant, majestic, and absolutely terrifying, calmly overlooks her new kingdom, like she was always meant to rule it. Even Dex has to admit it, she looks unbelievably cool. Bro accidentally created a final boss kingdom. The entire beginner village transforms before everyone's eyes. Dark slime covers every surface, buildings become corrupted, the atmosphere changes completely. The system updates the zone information, territory of slimes. Words alone make players nervous. Then they see the recommended level, level 80, silence. Then someone immediately starts screaming, level 80. Bro, this was supposed to be a beginner area. Before anyone can complain further, the giant purple slimes crash into the players, and the results are exactly what you'd expect. Complete destruction. The players get folded instantly. Dex watches everything unfold from a distance, and realizes the situation is completely backwards. It's like putting the cart before the horse. A level 80 hunting ground. In the starting village, yeah, the developers are absolutely cooked. Meanwhile, back in the real world, gaming journalist Mikan is already covering the disaster. The story has exploded across the internet. Complaints are flooding in from every direction, forums are melting down, players are furious, and Arcadia is trending everywhere. Mikan reports that the main scenario caused a catastrophe, one unlike anything the gaming industry has seen before. At the same time, Dex finally logs out. He stretches, yawns, and casually turns on the news, only to see his own chaos being broadcast nationwide. The report confirms the beginner village has been erased and transformed into a dungeon. Mikan calls it the biggest gaming disaster she's witnessed in over 20 years. Then Dex grabs his phone and checks the forums. Big mistake. The internet is on fire. Players are raging everywhere. Some are calling the developers insane. Others are demanding refunds. Some are trying to figure out who caused the incident. And then, a familiar nickname appears, the beginner killer. Rumors about the mysterious player are spreading rapidly. Some players hate him, others secretly admire him. A few are even calling him a legend, a menace, the greatest troll in gaming history. Then he notices a post from a player named Sulker, and suddenly, the mood changes. Sulker reveals that he lost a hidden class advancement quest, not because he failed, but because the NPC tied to the quest was destroyed during the incident. Realizing something important, real people lost real progress because of him. For the first time, the consequences feel a little heavier. The next morning, Yoon Yi-young brushes his teeth while thinking about everything that's happened. Then he remembers the strange instructions he received. Cause as much trouble as possible. That was the mission. And honestly, whoever gave that order is probably laughing right now, because the entire server is in chaos. Yi-young eventually shrugs. If he really crossed a line, the company would just ban him. Right, at least that's what he tells himself. More importantly, today is his first day at university. Xiamen University. Computer engineering, maybe it isn't the most prestigious school, but he's excited anyway. A fresh start, new people, a normal life for once, or at least, that's the plan. Yi-young takes a seat during orientation, then notices the student beside him watching a video. At first he doesn't pay attention, then he accidentally glances at the screen, and immediately freezes. Because the video shows Dex, his character, standing on top of the destroyed village. Bro almost has a heart attack. The video already has over 2 million views. 2 million. Yi-young wonders when someone even recorded this. And more importantly, why is everybody watching it? Then another thought enters his mind. He's not getting any of the ad revenue, which somehow annoys him even more. The student notices him staring and asks if he's interested. Yi-young quickly plays it cool, claiming the video simply looked interesting. The student introduces himself. His name is Lim Yi-jiun, and immediately starts talking about Arcadia. Bro is excited, very excited. He explains how the beginner village was completely destroyed, how the slimes suddenly became overpowered, how the entire server went crazy. Yi-young nods along, pretending he's hearing all of this for the first time. At first, he assumes Yi-jiun is just another fan of the game. Then Yi-jiun suddenly leans closer and asks a very specific question, a question that instantly makes Yi-young's soul leave his body. Do you know about the beginner killer? The room suddenly feels 10 degrees hotter. Sweat begins forming on Yi-young's forehead. His heart starts racing. His brain immediately enters panic mode, because there's only one thing running through his head right now. Does this guy know who I am? And that's when things start getting really interesting. Meanwhile, far away from the chaos, the CEO quietly stares at a tablet screen. Displayed before her is the ruined beginner village, or what's left of it anyway, because the village is completely gone, deleted, erased from existence. Even she has to admit, things are about to get very busy. Arcadia was always designed to allow unexpected situations, special events, unique outcomes. Player-driven stories, they expected surprises, but not this, not even close. Nobody expected a single player to completely rewrite the early game, yet somehow, that's exactly what happened. Still, the CEO doesn't seem angry. If anything, she looks amused. After all, the incident generated an unbelievable amount of attention. The entire gaming world is talking about Arcadia right now. Forums are exploding, news channels are covering it, and everyone wants answers. She decides to view it as a valuable lesson. Then she remembers something funny. Executive Director Kwon, the man who never loses his composure, the man who always looks calm, was completely flustered. Bro looked like his soul left his body. And all because of one user, just one. A small smile forms on her face. She quietly wonders what kind of person could cause this much chaos, because honestly, she'd really like to meet him. Meanwhile, back at the university orientation, Yi-young is fighting for his life, not against monsters, not against bosses, against social interaction. The guy is sweating bullets, because he's still wondering if Yi-jun knows his secret. Meanwhile, Yi-jun is completely clueless. He smiles brightly, totally unaware that the person sitting next to him is the legendary beginner killer. He casually pats Yi-young on the shoulder and asks if he knows anything about the incident, then immediately offers to explain it himself. Like a self-appointed expert, Yi-young plays along, pretending to be interested. But deep down he's thinking one thing: this guy just wants to show off. Yi-jun suddenly pulls out his phone and opens a video. The beginner killer incident. Bro even has a name for it already. He points at the screen proudly, claiming the mysterious player is deeply connected to the beginner village raid. Then he starts flexing, saying this is top secret information, the kind only he knows. Yi-young's eyes narrow slightly, because despite acting goofy, this guy is actually putting pieces together. Yi-young immediately decides something. Under absolutely no circumstances can this guy discover the truth, because if he does, university life is over before it even starts. Meanwhile, Yi-jun notices the awkward silence. Suddenly becomes worried, thinking maybe he talked too much. Bro has no idea how close he is to the truth. Then the orientation officially begins. Professor Kim Tae-hoon steps onto the stage. The room quiets down immediately. He welcomes the new students to the computer engineering department. Then he announces he'll be discussing the future, and that's when he brings up a familiar topic: virtual reality. The technology that changed everything. He explains that an unprecedented revolution is happening right now, and the center of that revolution is Arcadia. Anyone who has experienced that world already understands. Traditional computer engineering alone isn't enough anymore. The world has changed. The rules have changed. Everything has changed. After countless meetings and discussions, the university reached a conclusion. The current curriculum can no longer keep up, because compared to virtual reality, much of today's technology already feels outdated, retired, obsolete. The students immediately begin whispering among themselves. Then Professor Kim drops the bombshell. Starting this year, computer engineering will officially change its name: virtual reality engineering. The room instantly erupts with confusion. Nobody expected that, not on the first day, not ever. But Yi-young quietly realizes the professor is right. Arcadia has already started changing the world, and this is only the beginning. Professor Kim admits the transition will be confusing, but he warns everyone about one thing: those who fail to adapt will be left behind. And judging by the speed of change, that future isn't very far away. Later, Yi-young and Yi-jun head to the cafeteria. Food trays sit between them, and naturally, Yi-jun immediately starts talking again. He can't stop discussing the name change, or Arcadia, or anything related to Arcadia. At this point, Bro might actually be Arcadia's biggest fan. Meanwhile, Yi-young sits there wondering one thing: why am I eating with this guy? Yi-jun excitedly brings up the orientation speech, especially the Arcadia part. Yi-young silently confirms his suspicion. Yep, this dude is obsessed. Then suddenly, Yi-jun asks a dangerous question: why don't you play Arcadia? Yi-young nearly drops his soul. Question catches him completely off guard. He quickly lies, claiming the capsule is too expensive and that he's terrible at games. The lies come out so fast you'd think he practiced them. Inside his head, only one thought exists: don't get caught, don't get caught, don't get caught. Desperate to escape the conversation, he changes the topic, asking if Yi-jun plays. Yi-jun slams both hands on the table and proudly shouts, "Of course." Bro looks ready to give a TED talk. He claims he's actually pretty high level. Despite appearances, Yi-young pretends to be impressed. Even though he's mostly relieved the attention shifted away from him, Yi-jun even offers to help him if he ever starts playing, explaining that random spawn locations make the game difficult for beginners. Yi-young promises he'll contact him someday, though internally he's thinking something else. This guy is way too nice, and honestly, a little weird. Later that day, Yi-young logs back into Arcadia and immediately encounters a familiar problem. Satan, the tiny demon king, sits cross-legged on the ground, looking absolutely furious. The moment Yi-young appears, he starts yelling, complaining about being left alone, complaining about waiting, complaining about everything. Yi-young responds with a huge yawn, stretching lazily. He explains that he barely slept because of the raid. Satan immediately calls him weak, then starts regretting his contract with a human. Classic Satan behavior. Yi-young quickly realizes the truth. The demon king wasn't angry, he was bored. Then suddenly, a loud cry echoes throughout the forest. Yi-young turns around, confused, and the next second, he gets tackled. The slime queen suddenly appears and wraps him in a giant hug. Bro gets buried instantly, completely overwhelmed by slime affection. More slimes pile onto him, and suddenly breathing becomes optional. Yi-young desperately struggles beneath the mountain of slime. Meanwhile, Satan gets smashed by a giant slime too. He immediately starts screaming. Eventually, the slime queen gracefully steps back, then performs a respectful curtsy. A system notification appears. The slime queen expresses her gratitude. Another message follows. The slime race will forever remember what he accomplished. He drove away humanity, established a territory solely for slimes, and secured their future. As a result, Dex receives a new title, Eternal Savior of the Slime Race. Bro accidentally became a national hero. For slimes, Dex awkwardly insists he isn't that amazing, but the system disagrees. His title immediately evolves, from Slime's Friend to Slime's Savior. Then another reward appears, the Slime's Crown. Beautiful golden crown materializes above his head, and the rewards keep coming. His plausibility increases by 413. The quest Slime's Wrath is officially completed. Dex opens his status window and nearly gets blinded by all the rewards. The title grants slime race recognition, water affinity +10, intelligence +5, physical defense +5. Not bad. Not bad at all. Then Dex pauses for a moment, looking over his collection of titles. Bro takes one look at that list and immediately decides nobody can ever see this. Ever. Otherwise he'd become public enemy number 1. Again, suddenly, Satan calls out to him, Master. Dex turns around and casually calls him Tan, which Satan probably hates. The tiny demon king suggests leaving the area immediately. Apparently he's seen enough purple slime to last several lifetimes. He even claims he'll throw up if he stays any longer. Dex honestly agrees. The place is getting a little overwhelming. The slime queen lets out a loud cry, waving goodbye as they prepare to leave. Dex raises a hand in return, then begins walking away with Satan, leaving the slime territory behind. After everything they've accomplished, a new journey is finally beginning. Dex looks ahead and smiles. All right then, let's get moving. The next destination awaits. Far away in the distance, a massive city comes into view. Then suddenly, the scene changes. An angelic figure descends from the heavens. Massive white wings spread across the sky. Beautiful feathers drift through the air. A blond young man slowly lowers from above. His eyes remain closed. His presence feels completely different from everything we've seen so far, and for some reason, even Satan would probably recognize this guy immediately, because what appears next could change everything. After the disaster known as the Slime Raid incident, most players thought they were cooked. But gamers are gamers, and it didn't take long for them to find a replacement. A new hotspot quickly rose to fame, the Bard of Anarchy. A forum post starts spreading like wildfire. Players recommend it as the perfect new beginner hunting ground. Located just 10 kilometers north of the ruined village, comments immediately start flooding in. Players confirm the information one after another. More and more users have been gathering there recently. Rumors spread across Arcadia at lightning speed, and before long, everyone knew about Bard of Anarchy. Meanwhile, Dex finally arrives at the gates of the bustling town. A guard immediately raises his hand, stopping him before he can enter. The guard demands his name. Dex casually answers, nothing unusual, then asks if Dex came from the beginner village. Dex nods. The guard immediately starts sweating. Bro looks traumatized just thinking about it. He asks what in the world happened over there. He heard rumors about slimes going absolutely insane. Dex realizes even the NPCs are gossiping now. That's when you know things got bad. He calmly tells the guard to visit the place himself. Then he'll understand, but he also gives a warning. Those aren't normal slimes anymore, not even close. Then reveals even worse news. Adeline has officially become a monster habitat. The recommended level is now around 85. Bro accidentally turned a starter zone into an endgame dungeon. The guard explains that's exactly why everyone moved here instead. Assumes Dex came to settle down like everyone else. Then asks him to wait while entry preparations are made. Dex thanks him. Meanwhile, Satan keeps glancing around suspiciously. Dex notices immediately and asks what he's looking at. Satan hesitates, then admits this place feels strangely familiar. Dex raises an eyebrow, but Satan quickly brushes it off, claiming he's overthinking. Definitely not suspicious at all. The Demon King immediately protests, claiming his original name is already perfect. Dex calmly explains that calling someone Satan tends to attract attention, a lot of attention. The explanation instantly works. Satan looks weirdly pleased. Bro got complimented and forgot he was angry. Then Satan suddenly remembers something important, plausibility. He asks what Dex plans to do with it. Dex opens his status window, 33,551. The number is ridiculous. Satan stares in disbelief, then does the math. At this point, he estimates Dex has indirectly wiped out over 40,000 people. Absolutely insane. The tiny demon immediately starts begging again. Give me the points, please. Dex refuses instantly, not even a second of hesitation. Satan becomes desperate, offering legendary items in exchange. Weapons, armor, treasures capable of conquering continents. Visions of legendary equipment appear before Dex. The temptation is real, but Dex remains calm. He simply says he'll ask when he needs something. Satan grumbles under his breath, accusing Dex of playing hard to get. The funny part is, Dex actually is interested. The last item Satan offered required level 150, which means the rewards are probably insane, but Dex doesn't want to rely completely on Satan or the system. Something tells him plausibility is worth far more than it appears, and until he understands it completely, he's not wasting it recklessly. Besides, there's another reason. Doing everything the easy way would be boring, and where's the fun in that? Soon, the bustling streets of Mikhail Barony spread out before them. Merchants shout from every corner, selling equipment, materials, and supplies. The place is alive with activity. Satan asks where they're heading next. Dex says they'll explore first, learn what opportunities exist, then find a worthwhile quest. Simple, but as he scans the area, something feels off, very off. Inside a nearby tavern, a group of exhausted miners complain among themselves. Their faces are pale, their voices exhausted. Apparently the local lord ordered a massive increase in ore production. They're already sleeping less, resting less, working harder, and they're terrified of punishment if they fail. Dex quietly listens, then here's the important part. The territory lord. A dark smile slowly spreads across his face, because suddenly, things just became interesting. Satan notices immediately, and gets nervous. Every time Dex smiles like that, someone ends up suffering. Dex walks toward the miners. The workers look up in surprise. Then Dex calmly says something unexpected. He might be able to solve their problem. The miners nearly jump out of their seats, begging for help immediately. A quest window appears. Obtain iron ore for the miners ordered by Baroness Mikhail. Satan takes one look and immediately dismisses it, calling it a pathetic repeatable quest, something any random player could do. He tells Dex to move on, but Dex isn't convinced. Instead, he tells Satan to look around carefully. The market is packed. Players are buying ore, selling ore, repairing equipment, crafting weapons. One player proudly flexes his C-rank blacksmith skill. Satan still doesn't understand. He asks what's so special. Dex nods, because on the surface, nothing seems unusual. Then he reveals the truth. Most of those blacksmiths aren't NPCs. They are players. Suddenly everything clicks. Dex explains the massive influx of users created huge demand. Everyone needs equipment. Everyone needs repairs. Everyone needs ore. But almost nobody wants to gather it, because players hate boring repeatable quests. Demand keeps rising. Supply stays exactly the same. An economic disaster is forming. Dex asks Satan what happens next. The Demon King honestly has no clue. Dex simply smiles and says they'll find out soon enough. But first, they need money. Lots of money. Meanwhile, inside the luxurious estate of Baroness Mikhail, the ruler studies a financial report and immediately realizes something is wrong, very wrong. The price of iron ore jumped from 10 bronze to 15 bronze, a 50% increase, practically overnight. Her eyes widen, because she understands exactly what this means. Local blacksmiths will lose profits. Cheap training gear will flood the market. Equipment quality will collapse, and the entire regional economy could spiral out of control. For the first time, the Baroness starts sweating. A crisis is approaching, and she needs a solution fast. Far away from the estate, at the towering Mount Fion, Dex and Satan enter a dark mining tunnel. The deeper they travel, the fewer players they encounter. Almost nobody comes this far. Torchlight flickers across the cave walls. The atmosphere grows heavier. Then Dex finally stops walking and smiles. It's time to begin. Satan immediately questions the plan, wondering why Dex would waste precious plausibility on something this stupid. Dex responds with one simple answer: stop talking and do it. Satan sighs dramatically, clearly regretting every life choice that led to this moment. Then he gathers dark energy. The contract activates. Suddenly, a colossal pillar of purple energy erupts inside the cave. 8,000 plausibility points disappear instantly. Dark magic floods the tunnel. A massive object slowly emerges from the energy. Then the system reveals its identity: the Den Destroyer. A legendary mining tool, forged from the toenail of a demonic world mole, because apparently demons make tools from the weirdest things imaginable. The item grants accelerated mining, extreme sensitivity, higher quality material discovery, and drastically fewer mining failures. In other words, this thing is completely broken. Dex stares at the giant drill, his purple eyes practically glowing. A wicked grin spreads across his face. Dex grips the legendary drill tightly, then declares the most dangerous words possible: it's time to get rich. The market of Mikhail Barony is absolutely packed. Players fill every street. Some are selling handmade daggers. Others are repairing equipment for free just to level their skills. The entire town feels like one giant workshop. A young girl suddenly shouts into the crowd, looking for cheap iron ores. Immediately, a nearby player shakes his head and tells her not to bother with the miner repeatable quest. According to him, the quest only improves your relationship with the miners, nothing more. The girl's shoulders instantly drop. Bro crushed her hopes in 2 seconds. The player tells her she'd make more money mining the ores herself and selling them. After thinking about it, she agrees and abandons the quest idea completely. Meanwhile, inside a local workshop. Blacksmith Aiden and blacksmith Kashim watch the madness unfold. Kashim clicks his tongue in annoyance, then starts cursing adventurers. Aiden isn't much happier. He complains that players keep buying all the valuable iron ore, only to turn it into low-grade junk equipment. Kashim nods furiously. According to him, a bunch of nobodies are trying to become master artisans overnight. At this point, convinced the world is ending, Aiden can only sigh, hoping Baroness Mikhail steps in soon, because if she doesn't, the entire barony is going to suffer, and honestly, he's not wrong. Arcadia's economy works just like reality. Production, consumption, supply, demand, everything matters. Resources are scattered throughout the continent. Wood, leather, wool, rice. Different regions specialize in different things. Prices constantly shift with the seasons, and right now, one resource dominates everything: iron ore. A player screams in frustration after checking the market price. Another lets out a tired sigh, regretting his decision to become a blacksmith. His friend immediately agrees. The ores are becoming absurdly expensive. The shortage keeps getting worse. And worse, and worse. The price climbs from 10 bronze to 17 bronze, almost overnight. At this point, many blacksmiths are barely breaking even, some are actually losing money, and the complaints just keep piling up. One player groans that the game is way too realistic. Another says he should have become a warrior instead. Then someone asks the obvious question: why don't they just mine the ore themselves? The answer arrives immediately: because it's terrible. Traveling between the mines and the city takes over 2 hours. Mining itself has a high failure rate, and the profits usually aren't worth the effort. Most players would rather repair equipment all day than swing a pickaxe for hours. Simply put, mining sucks, at least for normal players. Because for one certain menace, the rules don't apply. Deep inside Mount Fion, Dex is speedrunning the mining profession. The giant demonic drill tears through solid rock like butter. Notifications flood his screen non-stop. Iron ore acquired, silver ore acquired, iron ore acquired, silver ore acquired. The rewards don't stop. Then another notification appears. Mining skill has reached rank A. Mining speed increases, success rate increases, hidden ore detection unlocked, stamina increases by 10. Bro isn't mining anymore. He's conducting an industrial revolution by himself. After hours of work, Dex wipes the sweat from his forehead, then checks his inventory. His bag is overflowing with resources, and just like that, he's already earned back the plausibility he spent. Then suddenly, Satan flies into view, looking way too excited, which is usually a bad sign. The tiny demon king immediately presents another offer. Apparently he found the perfect item to exchange for Dex's remaining plausibility. A dark item window appears: Tears of Darkness, an absurdly powerful artifact. Darkness affinity. Attribute boosts, special abilities, even a skill called Veil of Darkness. The item is completely cracked. Dex takes one look at it and immediately rejects it. No hesitation, no temptation, nothing. Satan freezes, then asks why. Dex calmly points at the requirement. Level 220, bro can't even use the thing for the next 100 years. On top of that, it would make the game boring, and selling it would instantly expose him. At that point, everyone would know he possessed impossible gear. Dex compares it to selling the goose that lays golden eggs. A terrible idea. Satan rubs his forehead, clearly developing a headache. Eventually, he gives up. For now, Dex then asks where Satan disappeared to all day. The Demon King immediately tries dodging the question, claiming it wasn't important, but Dex keeps pressing. Then something strange happens. A mischievous grin appears on Satan's face. The kind of grin that usually leads to disaster. He laughs ominously and says he'll explain everything later, once he finds it, whatever that means. Dex is left completely confused. Little Demon is acting suspicious again. Before the conversation can continue, Satan notices the mountain of ore piled beside Dex. His eyes nearly pop out of his head. He exclaims that Dex probably owns more ore than the entire barony. Honestly, that might not even be an exaggeration. Dex proudly confirms the haul, then reveals the next phase of his plan. He's going to repeat this every single day. Mine ore, sell ore, complete miner quests, and build friendliness with the miners. Again and again, Satan asks the obvious question, what's the point? That's when Dex's eyes start gleaming, because this isn't about ore, it's about influence. Eventually, someone important is going to notice, and that someone is Baroness Mikhail. Meanwhile, inside the Baroness's office, things are looking rough. Stacks of letters cover her desk. Merchants are panicking, blacksmiths are panicking, everyone is panicking. One letter warns that delivery deadlines will be missed. Another threatens to close workshops entirely. Some businesses are even considering leaving the territory. The Baroness lets out a heavy sigh. The situation is spiraling out of control. She asks her advisors what caused this disaster. One advisor immediately answers: the adventurers. Another advisor agrees. Too many players chose blacksmith professions, and now they're hoarding iron ore to level up. Most of them produce low-grade equipment, yet they consume huge amounts of resources. The Baroness finally sees the core problem. The number of miners never increased. only the number of blacksmiths. Because adventurers don't like boring jobs, everyone wants to be the hero, nobody wants to do the actual work. At this point, she declares the adventurers are the biggest issue. One advisor suggests assigning them mining duties. Unfortunately, the law immediately says no. Clause 128, forced labor prohibited. Another advisor proposes prioritizing artisans. Also illegal. Passage 2. The law blocks that option 2. The Baroness grabs her head. She is completely trapped. No solutions, no time, and a disaster approaching. She finally screams in frustration, wondering why these adventurers appeared at all. Then suddenly, the office doors slam open. A guard rushes inside, looking completely out of breath. Baroness, big trouble. The Baroness immediately stands up, thinking the economy has finally collapsed, but what she sees next leaves her speechless. A gigantic mountain of ore crashes into the town square. The entire crowd erupts. People rush toward it from every direction. Merchants begin shouting immediately, trying to buy everything on the spot. Someone spots silver ore. Someone else spots gold. Then another player notices rare magic crystals mixed inside. The crowd goes absolutely insane. The Baroness can only stare, because somehow, the exact thing her territory desperately needed just appeared out of nowhere. Meanwhile, the mastermind behind all of this sits quietly nearby, counting money. Dex casually reviews his earnings after 3 days of mining. 5 gold, 12 silver. Not bad at all. After calculating the exchange rate, it comes out to 512,000 won, about 170,000 won per day. If he keeps this pace, that's nearly 5 million won a month, enough to pay for his capsule, his rent, his tuition, everything. Most players are grinding for levels. Dex is grinding for rent money. But even then, something feels lacking. He knows there's an even bigger opportunity ahead, a much bigger one. He's just not sure if he's ready to pull the trigger yet. Suddenly, a voice interrupts his thoughts. Are you the one who supplied those ores? Dex looks up and immediately freezes. Standing before him is Baroness Mikhail herself. A system notification appears instantly. Baroness Mikhail has expressed interest in you. Friendliness increased. Dex smiles internally because everything is happening exactly as planned. He calmly confirms that he's responsible. The Baroness introduces herself, then offers an invitation, a private meeting at the castle, over tea. A system window appears before Dex. Accept the invitation, and just like that, the real game is about to begin. Dex sat across from the Baroness inside her ridiculously luxurious mansion. The atmosphere looked calm. The Baroness offered him tea brewed from rare Mount Fian herbs. Dex took a sip, nodded approvingly, and casually complimented the flavor. But she wasn't interested in small talk. She immediately got to the point. How long did it take you to mine that mountain of ores? Now you'd think Dex would give some crazy number, maybe a few months, maybe a few weeks. Nah, this dude casually replied that it took about 3 days. 3 days. The Baroness instantly slammed both hands onto the table. She was absolutely stunned. There was no way she had heard that correctly. She immediately asked whether other adventurers could mine like him. Dex shut that idea down immediately. Impossible. Not difficult. Not unlikely. Impossible. The Baroness quickly started thinking. If enough people worked together, maybe they could recreate the results. But even she admitted gathering that many workers wouldn't be easy. Then she finally asked the real question. Could Dex help her? She explained that the entire economy was getting shaken up because of the sudden flood of adventurers, and right at that moment, a special quest window appeared before Dex. His mission, mine 100,000 ores every single day. Yeah, things had escalated quickly. Instead of panicking, Dex smiled, then accepted the quest without hesitation. Little did everyone know, this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, back in the real world, Dex sat in front of his computer thinking about the quest. On paper, it sounded simple. In reality, absolutely cooked. Most players hated mining. To them, it was boring, repetitive, mind-numbing. So Dex realized something important. Wanted miners. He needed to change how people saw mining itself. And that's when this dude came up with a plan. He created a YouTube channel called The Daily Life of a Destroyer. And bro was about to become the greatest salesman Arcadia had ever seen. The scene then shifted to a middle school in Seoul. A student named Choi Hyuntek sat quietly at his desk. One of his friends asked if he wanted to play Arcadia. The answer came instantly. Nope. Hyuntek explained that the game was cursed. The moment he started, some murderer killed him. Then the slimes somehow became terrifying monsters. Then the beginner village straight up disappeared. After that, bro spent his time repeatedly dying while trying to escape. At that point, his friend immediately realized where he had spawned. The infamous beginner village disaster. Hyuntek kept ranting. To make matters worse, he had job advanced into a merchant, and his skills were things like negotiation and horse taming. Meanwhile, everyone else was probably becoming warriors and mages. This dude genuinely believed his account was doomed. His friend tried cheering him up, but honestly, Hyuntek looked completely defeated. Then another friend suddenly showed him a viral video on his phone. The title immediately grabbed everyone's attention. You can do it too, earn money via Arcadia. The video was uploaded by none other than the daily life of a destroyer. The narrator confidently explained that there was a way to make money without hunting monsters. The secret, mining iron ore at Mount Fion. Hyuntek wasn't impressed. To him, that just sounded like extra homework. But then, the video revealed an enormous bag overflowing with gold coins earned in just 1 week. And instantly, everything changed. Hyuntek practically jumped out of his seat. That amount of money was ridiculous. The narrator continued explaining that mining started slow at F rank, but once players increased their mining rank, the rewards became absolutely insane at A rank. Miners could gather resources rapidly and regularly discover rare ores, magic crystals, diamonds, valuable treasures every single day, and suddenly Hyuntek realized something. Maybe mining wasn't the problem. Maybe he had simply never leveled the skill properly. The moment that thought entered his head, he was hooked. He immediately decided to try mining himself. But here's the funny part. The entire audience was getting played, because most of what appeared in that video was a complete scam. Well, not exactly a scam, more like some incredibly creative marketing. The insane mining speed wasn't normal at all. It was only possible because Yeung possessed the cheat-level item known as the Den Destroyer. Without it, nobody was pulling off those numbers. But Yeung conveniently forgot to mention that part. Very convenient. As a result, the video exploded across the community. Countless players rushed into stores demanding pickaxes, others abandoned their current plans entirely and sprinted toward Mount Fion. The mining industry had suddenly become the hottest trend in the game. Back at the mansion, Baroness Mikhail could barely believe what she was seeing. She laughed in complete disbelief. Even adventurers from unrelated jobs were heading straight for the mines. The woman was witnessing an economic miracle in real time. She asked Yeung how he pulled it off. Yeung simply smiled, then gave an answer that was both hilarious and terrifying. He said he merely stimulated the basic desires of humans. In other words, money, lots of money, according to him. People would do almost anything if enough profit was involved. The Baroness burst out laughing. She finally realized they had been approaching the problem completely wrong, but Dex wasn't finished, not even close. He warned her not to celebrate too early. Other preparations still needed to be made. And that's when this dude switched from miner mode to economist mode. Dex advised the Baroness to lower the wages given to miners. At first that sounded insane, but then he explained the real strategy. Instead of paying more money upfront, give miners ownership rights to part of the ores they gather. Now suddenly hard workers would be motivated to grind even harder. Meanwhile, lazy people pretending to work would disappear on their own. The Baroness immediately agreed, completely impressed. Meanwhile, Dex couldn't help thinking something. The Baroness knew absolutely nothing about economics. Bro was basically teaching economics 101 to a medieval noble, and he fully intended to introduce her to both the efficiency and brutality of modern economics. Then the Baroness brought up another issue. The price of iron ore had already climbed past 20 bronze. Shouldn't they do something about it? Dex immediately told her to ignore it. If people truly needed the ore, they would buy it anyway. Simple as that. He pointed out that master rank artisans weren't struggling despite the higher prices, which meant the old price had probably been too cheap from the start. The Baroness then asked about all the people complaining. Dex's answer was savage. If they wanted cheaper ore, they could mine it themselves. After all, people who are thirsty dig their own wells. The Baroness was thoroughly impressed. At this point, Dex wasn't just solving problems. He was speedrunning economic reform, seeing his talent. Baroness suddenly offered him a position as the finance minister of her entire barony, a massive opportunity. Most people would have accepted instantly, but Dex politely declined. He reminded her that he was still an adventurer, and adventurers had their own path. Then Dex noticed something. The situation was finally moving exactly where he wanted it to go. The Baroness was benefiting, the mines were growing. Players were working, everything was perfectly set up, which meant it was finally time for the real play. Dex pulled out a business proposal. The narration explained that there was a limit to how much money one person could earn alone. If you wanted to break past that limit, you needed influence, you needed people, you needed power over an entire system. The Baroness looked down at the document and immediately froze. The contents were shocking. Dex simply smiled, then asked if she found it interesting. Finally, he revealed his offer. If she gave him 10% of the total profits, he would hand over all business authority regarding the matter. A few thousand years ago, the holy demonic Great War was in full swing. Angels and demons were tearing the world apart. The battlefield looked like the end of existence itself. Massive explosions shook the land. Volcanoes erupted in the distance, and right in the middle of all the chaos, the demon king Satan suddenly froze. His eyes locked onto a glowing spear, and for the first time in a long time. Bro looked nervous. He immediately recognized the weapon, Muspelheim, a divine weapon so terrifying that even the demon king didn't want to see it. Satan cursed Archangel Michael for bringing something that absurd onto the battlefield. Meanwhile, Michael stood there completely unfazed. She declared that in the name of the Archangel, she would destroy him. The next moment, A blinding light swallowed everything. And Satan disappeared. Then suddenly, he woke up, sweating heavily, breathing hard. The mighty demon king had just gotten jump-scared by a dream. He grumbled that being nearby was causing him to remember unnecessary memories. Clearly, those ancient war flashbacks were still living rent-free in his head, back in the present. The mining craze was completely out of control. Players were running everywhere, shouting about iron ores, buying pickaxes, and rushing toward the mines like their lives depended on it. Satan watched the madness unfold before turning toward his master. He asked about the mysterious business proposal Dex had shown the Baroness. Dex immediately revealed a sinister smile, then quoted a phrase that sounded like it belonged to a supervillain. "You may enter as you please, but you can't go out as you please." Bro started laughing like a complete menace. Even Satan looked disturbed. Dex then explained the truth behind the mining boom. Mining was actually terrible work, low efficiency, low profits, and painfully boring. A normal player only mined around 10 iron ores per hour. That's it. The insane numbers everyone saw in the videos. Completely impossible for regular players. Dex revealed that his own absurd mining results came entirely from the Den Destroyer, his cheat-level item. Without it, nobody was touching those numbers. Satan finally understood. The mines were basically a giant trap. An entire army of players was running straight into disappointment. He immediately asked whether there was any actual way to make money there. And that's when Dex revealed the real plan. The actual plan. The plan that made Satan question his morality. Dex wasn't planning to mine. He wasn't planning to work. He wasn't planning to grind. He was planning to sell entrance tickets. Yep, this dude created the problem, then started charging admission to the solution. Absolute demon behavior. He planned to sell rights to enter the mine. And for anyone who couldn't afford it immediately, they could pay later. Satan asked how much he planned to charge. Dex thought for a moment, then casually suggested 1 gold. 1 gold. Satan almost lost his mind. Even he thought that price was ridiculous. He argued that no sane human would pay that much, but Dex wasn't worried at all, because people weren't thinking rationally anymore. The greed had already taken over. Everyone believed they were about to become rich, and when people think they're about to get rich, logic gets folded immediately. Dex knew the crowd would rush in without hesitation. Meanwhile, he would collect free money while doing practically nothing. Satan stared at him in disbelief. The more he listened, the more impressed he became. There wasn't even a tiny bit of guilt on Dex's face. Not a trace. At that moment, Satan reached a conclusion. Dex truly was a demon, and the perfect master. A little later, Satan suddenly called out to Dex. There was somewhere he wanted to show him. He promised Dex wouldn't suffer any losses if he came along. Now that immediately sounded suspicious, but Dex agreed anyway. Soon the two arrived before a gigantic rocky structure. A massive gate stood before them, ancient, mysterious, and intimidating as hell. Dex looked around in confusion, wondering where they were. Satan explained that he had spent days searching before finding this place. Then he realized why it felt familiar, because he had been here before. Suddenly Satan started yelling triumphantly, mocking the chicken-winged angels with zero hesitation. Some things never change. Even after thousands of years, the rivalry was still alive and well. Dex observed something strange. The place looked completely abandoned, yet there wasn't a single sign of rust or decay. It was almost as if powerful magic had preserved everything. Satan urged him to open the gate, so Dex walked forward and reached toward it. Immediately, a system warning appeared. A powerful seal blocked his approach. He didn't meet the requirements needed to remove it. However, another notification appeared. If he reported the location to the Baroness, he would receive a reward, and on top of that, he obtained a brand new skill, relic excavation. Dex concluded that the gate couldn't be opened because of the seal. Simple enough. But Satan suddenly became frustrated. That was the entire reason he brought Dex here. Dex looked confused. After all, he didn't possess any seal-breaking abilities, so what exactly was Satan expecting? Satan immediately started complaining. According to him, Dex didn't even understand his own power. Bro sounded like a teacher watching a student fail an open-book exam. He even complained that life would be easier if he had an obedient imp instead. Then Satan asked a question. How much did Dex actually know about the power he possessed? Dex guessed he was talking about plausibility. Satan confirmed it immediately. Then things got serious, very serious. Satan explained that plausibility existed outside the authority of Providence. It wasn't normal power. It wasn't mana. It wasn't divine energy. It was something far greater, something capable of interfering with the very systems designed to maintain balance in the world. Then Satan finally revealed the truth. Plausibility could influence both natural and man-made things. It was the closest power in existence to that of the Creator. Dex just stood there stunned, because that sounded completely broken. Satan then asked whether he finally understood what he could do. Dex thought for a moment, then gave the most disappointing answer imaginable. Not really. Satan absolutely exploded. This poor demon had spent all that time explaining, only for Dex to hit him with that response. He started screaming in frustration, telling Dex that he could basically do everything, anything he wanted, anything at all. More than 10 minutes later, After enduring the world's most aggressive tutorial session, Dex finally started understanding. He asked whether plausibility was the power that allowed transcendental beings like Satan to exist freely. Satan confirmed it, normally. Plausibility was accumulated little by little over incredibly long periods of time, but the amount Dex received from their deal. That amount would take at least 500 years to gather naturally. 500 years. Bro had casually obtained half a millennium worth of power. No wonder Tan had wanted it so desperately. Everything suddenly clicked in Dex's mind. If plausibility could ignore the rules of the world, then maybe it could bypass the seal too. Satan nodded. Exactly. The seal was merely a requirement imposed by those chicken-winged angels, and compared to the amount of plausibility Dex possessed, a seal like this was basically nothing. All he needed was the will to make it happen. Dex slowly reached toward the gate, then focused on a single thought. Open. Immediately a magical circle lit up. The system reacted. A notification window appeared before him. He could ignore the seal's requirements by consuming plausibility. Cost required, 15,000 plausibility. Dex paused. That amount was insane. It was enough to create 2 unique items and still have some left over, but after thinking about it, he realized something. If not now, then when? So Dex shouted at the giant gate. Open up. Instantly, 15,000 plausibility vanished. The seal shattered. The barrier disappeared, and the ancient gate finally opened. The system immediately announced the discovery of an unknown heavenly altar. Then Satan grinned, a grin filled with ancient memories, ancient grudges, and probably bad intentions. He finally revealed the identity of the place. The Den of the Angels, the High Heavens Stairway. And just like that, Dex had opened the door to a place that probably should have remained sealed. Because if Satan looked this excited, something absolutely ridiculous was about to happen next. According to the memoirs of a certain traveler, 1,000 years ago, the continent of Arcadia was plunged into absolute chaos. The holy demonic great war erupted between angels and demons, and calling it a war honestly doesn't do it justice. It was a catastrophe, a nightmare, a battle so brutal that entire regions were stained with death. And countless lives vanished, civilizations were shattered, and the only reason weaker beings survived at all was because of the salvation of the world tree. Even after 1,000 years, the memory of that war still haunted the world. People spoke of it with fear, and some scars never truly healed. Then suddenly, a system alert appeared, and everything changed. Mount Phaion's high stairs of heaven have been intruded by a user. An error has occurred for the trigger of a mystical grade quest. Uh-oh, that is never a good sign. Meanwhile, at the Arcadia Korean branch, an emergency meeting was called immediately. The developers looked exhausted, and honestly, who could blame them? They were still recovering from the beginner village incident. That disaster happened only days ago. And now another crisis had arrived. Scenario team manager Kang Tae-hoon stood before the room, looking like a man who had completely lost control of his life. He informed the team that 32 minutes earlier, a corruption had occurred within a mystical rank quest. The room immediately became tense. After investigating, they discovered the source, Mount Phaon, specifically. Hidden content buried inside the mountain. The team was stunned. Wait, Mount Phaon belonged to the angels. Since when? The funniest part, the developers themselves had no clue. Tae-hoon then revealed the hidden lore they had just uncovered. Long ago, Mount Phaon was known as the entrance of the high heavens, the very first location where angels descended into the world. The countless ores surrounding the mountain weren't natural deposits at all. They were part of a massive barrier, a disguise, a cover-up designed to hide a sacred location, a hidden holy land. The room went silent, because this raised a terrifying question. If the developers didn't create this storyline, then where did it come from? The more they investigated, the worse things became. There were simply too many secrets. Too many storylines, too many hidden pieces of lore they had never built into the game. Arcadia was practically writing itself at this point. Finally, one employee asked the question nobody wanted answered. What was the corrupted quest called? Kang Tae-hoon hesitated. His expression immediately darkened. Then he revealed the answer, the Second Holy Demonic Great War. The entire room exploded into chaos. Everyone immediately understood how bad this was, because if the first war nearly destroyed the world, nobody wanted to imagine what a second one would look like. Back inside the game, Dex stood before a magnificent golden staircase. Dex immediately recognized it. The stairways of the high heavens. Beside him, Satan was having the time of his life. The Demon King started laughing like an absolute maniac, mocking the chicken-winged bastards without mercy. He urged Dex to loot everything, steal everything, and completely ruin whatever plans the angels had prepared. Dex's response, sure, why not? At this point, chaos basically followed him everywhere. Soon the pair discovered a massive golden chest hidden within the ruins. The thing looked incredibly valuable, ancient, ornate, and suspiciously important. Satan immediately became excited. He confirmed there was treasure inside, then urged Dex to open it right away. Dex reached toward the chest. and suddenly, system messages flooded his vision. Ancient inscriptions covered the surface. But the language was completely unreadable. Before he could even process it, a wave of holy energy surrounded him. His HP recovery increased, his MP recovery increased, and a brand new quest appeared. Hidden ruins have appeared. Now Dex faced a choice. He could report the location to Baroness Mikhail and collect a reward. That was the original plan, but things had changed. This wasn't some random ruin anymore. This was the stairways of the high heavens, a legendary location connected to the angels themselves. What reward could a Baroness possibly offer that would compare to the treasures hidden here? And besides, Dex had already forced open the seal using plausibility. The loot would belong to him, all of it. All right, Tan, let's open it. Satan cheered excitedly, expecting some legendary treasure reveal. A glorious moment, a scene worthy of history. Instead, 10 minutes later, everything was a complete disaster. Dex was sprawled across the floor, panting heavily, completely exhausted. And the chest hadn't moved even a single inch. Not one. Bro got folded by a box. He cursed his low-strength stat. If he had his original body, this would have been easy. Even Satan was frustrated. After all the seals, ancient mysteries, and hidden lore, their greatest obstacle turned out to be basic physics. If opening the chest normally wasn't possible, then he would simply stop opening it normally. Out came the Den Destroyer, his absurdly overpowered drill. The moment Satan saw it, he panicked, because he immediately understood what was about to happen. Dex calmly explained his philosophy. When a door refuses to open no matter how hard you push, you change your approach. Translation: if the lid won't open, destroy the lid. Simple, elegant, completely insane. Dex climbed on top of the ancient relic, revved up the drill, and prepared to commit archaeological crimes at maximum efficiency. Then he did it. The Den Destroyer roared to life and drilled straight through the golden chest. No hesitation, no remorse, no respect for history whatsoever. The ancient relic shattered into countless pieces. Satan watched in complete shock. For a brief moment, even the Demon King seemed horrified. He realized something terrifying. Humans were actually worse than demons. The system immediately reacted. An extraordinary achievement had been completed. Dex had successfully destroyed an unknown ancient relic. Congratulations! His affinity with the heavens instantly plummeted to rock bottom. The system practically warned him to stay away from holy beings before they beat him up on sight. Then he earned a brand new title, Relic Destroyer. Honestly, the title fit perfectly. Dex wiped away his sweat, feeling strangely refreshed after committing historical vandalism. Then he finally looked inside, and immediately froze, because the treasure chest wasn't actually a treasure chest. It was a sarcophagus. Inside rested a skeleton, and clutched within its bony fingers was a glowing necklace. Dex instantly turned toward Satan. Why didn't you tell me this was a tomb? Satan couldn't care less. Apparently that detail never seemed important, which honestly tells you everything you need to know about Satan. He pointed toward the necklace, and urged Dex to take it. According to him, the item was a holy relic prepared by the angels for the future. At the same time, Satan secretly couldn't stop smiling, because if anyone could ruin an angelic plan, it was Dex. Without hesitation, Dex reached out, grabbed the necklace, and cursed the chicken-winged bastards for good measure. Immediately, the system reacted. He had obtained the glorious Heavens medallion. The moment his hand touched it, everything went crazy. Holy energy erupted from the relic. The reaction was violent, overwhelming, and completely unexpected. Satan was blown backward by the shockwave. Meanwhile, a massive torrent of power surged into Dex's body. Golden light exploded around him. A brilliant aura engulfed his entire figure. The relic was responding to him, but whether that was a blessing or a disaster, nobody knew yet. And judging by Dex's track record, things were probably about to get absolutely ridiculous. A gigantic spectral figure materialized behind him. An angelic warrior towered over the chamber, radiating overwhelming pressure. The holy aura alone made the entire ruin shake. At this point, even Dex looked stunned. Then another notification appeared. The special ability of the medallion had activated. A hidden class window opened, and just like that, Dex was granted the title, Holy Prophet. The massive angelic figure continued standing behind him like a divine guardian. Everything looked ridiculously overpowered, until the game itself had a panic attack. A giant red warning window suddenly flashed across his vision. The system detected a problem, a very serious problem. Dex's current job did not belong to the holy category, which meant something had gone horribly wrong. A fatal contradiction had occurred within the game logic. Emergency measures activated automatically. The item was instantly disabled. The glowing aura vanished. The angelic figure disappeared, and the system basically told him to contact customer support. Bro unlocked a hidden class so broken that even the game couldn't process it. Dex stared blankly at the flickering medallion. Meanwhile, Satan lay on the ground gasping for breath. The little demon admitted he almost died from that holy energy surge. After recovering slightly, he flew back toward his master, immediately demanding an explanation. Dex checked the item again. A giant fatal error warning remained on the screen. The medallion was completely locked pending investigation. No use, no activation, nothing. Dex realized things had just become infinitely more complicated. Maybe his unique job was causing conflicts with the holy artifact. Maybe something else was happening entirely. Either way, there was nothing he could do right now, so he simply smiled and decided to let the developers figure it out. Good luck to them. Meanwhile, back on the snowy slopes of Mount Fian, a completely different disaster was unfolding. The camera shifted toward the entrance of the mining site. A young student approached excitedly, only to be stopped by a guard. The student looked completely confused. Why was the entrance blocked? The guard asked a simple question. Was he here to mine? The student eagerly confirmed. Then the guard asked for his pass. His what? The student froze. Nobody had mentioned a pass. He immediately remembered the viral mining video he watched at school. The video never said anything about entrance fees. The guard aggressively pointed at him, then declared that those who do not work will not eat. Anyone using the Baroness's mines had to contribute. The student nervously asked how much the pass cost. The guard calmly explained. The pass lasted 1 month, then revealed the price, 30 gold coins. The student nearly had a heart attack. 30 gold. Bro immediately started doing mental calculations. 1 gold was worth 100,000 won, which meant the monthly fee was 3 million won, 3 million. A mountain of cash flashed through his imagination. His dream collapsed instantly. The poor guy burst into tears on the spot. He cried that his future as a rich miner was over before it even began. The guard looked genuinely confused by the emotional breakdown. After a moment he asked the obvious question, did the student simply not have the money? The student sadly nodded, completely defeated. And he admitted the truth. He had come specifically to earn money because he was broke. The guard suddenly smiled, a very suspicious smile. Then he placed a reassuring hand on the student's shoulder, and that's when the trap activated. The guard explained that the Baroness had prepared a special system for people exactly like him, a convenient buy now pay later program. Dangerous words, very dangerous words. The guard pointed toward a nearby consultation office. Inside sat a beautiful green-haired woman. She gave the student a charming wink, and instantly, Bro forgot how to function. His face turned bright red, his brain stopped working, and he walked straight toward the office. The guard watched him leave with a satisfied smirk. Another one had taken the bait, deep inside the mines. The results of the scheme were already visible. The caverns were packed with players, thousands of them, swinging pickaxes desperately, mining like their lives depended on it. Everyone screamed for magic crystals, rare ores, anything valuable enough to pay off their debts. It looked less like a mine, and more like a prison work camp. The green-haired woman observed the chaos from afar, a cold smile forming on her face. She praised their passion, but she knew the truth. The trap was perfect. The players entered willingly, nobody forced them, yet leaving would be another story entirely. They were blinded by dreams of easy wealth, completely unaware that they had become slaves to debt. She wondered who could possibly devise something this vicious. Then an image appeared in her mind. Dex and Baroness Mikhail, the true masterminds. Even she had to admit it, their methods were terrifying. At that exact moment, a system notification appeared before Dex. He had successfully mined 100,000 ores. Quest complete. Mission cleared. Another absurd achievement added to the list. Dex smiled. It was finally time to finish up business in the ruins. Satan floated beside him and asked what he planned to do next. Dex slowly turned toward the destroyed sarcophagus. His eyes became cold, dangerously cold. Then he started reviewing the situation. He had excavated a hidden ruin, stolen a sacred artifact, desecrated a corpse, destroyed ancient property, and violated approximately every historical preservation law imaginable. Bro wasn't just a criminal anymore. He was speedrunning villain achievements. If anyone discovered this place, things would become incredibly troublesome. Therefore, the solution was obvious. The heavenly stairway could never be discovered, ever. Satan immediately sensed something horrifying. The atmosphere changed. Dex silently activated the den destroyer. Purple energy erupted around the giant drill. Lightning crackled violently through the air. Then Dex calmly declared his intentions. He would erase every piece of evidence, every single piece. Satan stared in complete horror. Surely not. Was this man actually planning to destroy the entire ruin? The answer came immediately. Yes. Dex smiled wickedly. The drill roared to life. Purple energy exploded across the chamber. And moments later, the destruction began. Ancient walls shattered. Historic structures collapsed. Centuries of history vanished under overwhelming force. Dex wasn't hiding evidence anymore. He was deleting it from existence. Eventually, the work was finished. Dex wiped the sweat from his brow with a satisfied smile. The heavenly stairway no longer existed. No witnesses, no evidence, no crime scene. Perfect. His final step would be sealing the entrance forever. Satan watched everything in absolute awe. The little demon had learned something important today. Human wickedness was a bottomless abyss, and his master stood proudly at the bottom of it. The scene then shifted to Baroness Mikhail's mansion, and immediately the energy changed. The Baroness practically exploded with excitement the moment she saw Dex. She enthusiastically celebrated the success of their mining operation, or more accurately, their mining trap. According to her, nearly 10,000 people had already signed the contracts. 10,000. The Baroness proudly explained the next stage of the plan, a 30% transaction fee. Every ore mined had to be sold exclusively within her territory, meaning she profited from everything. Absolutely everything, she praised Dex repeatedly, calling his ideas innovative, brilliant, and terrifyingly effective. Meanwhile, Dex watched her celebration with nervous sweat running down his face, because somewhere along the way, the Baroness had become far scarier than before. She even started muttering about squeezing every last coin from her new workers until she became a duke. At that point, Dex immediately changed the subject, before she evolved into a final boss. He politely asked for his reward. The Baroness happily handed over a massive bag of money. Dex received 120 gold and 23 silver. After doing the math, he realized it was worth roughly 12 million won, more than enough to repay his capsule debt. Her expression suddenly becoming serious, she asked if he truly had no intention of working with her permanently. This time the offer was even bigger. She proposed becoming sworn friends, sharing authority equally, a partnership in every sense. A system window appeared immediately. Formal partnership proposal. Dex stared at the offer. Honestly, it was tempting. Very tempting. For the first time in a while, he genuinely hesitated, but before any decision could be made, the story suddenly shifted elsewhere, far beyond Mount Fion, far beyond the mines, far beyond Dex himself. The camera pulled back to reveal the immense world of Arcadia. A secret hidden behind everything finally began to emerge, because this world, this massive universe, this impossible game, had all started because of a single person. A blonde man stood quietly in an unknown place. He thanked a woman named Jennifer for helping him find happiness, then told her to simply watch the world that had been created for her sake, and just like that, his identity was revealed. Jack, the creator of Arcadia itself. Then another figure appeared, Administrator Alice. She materialized before him instantly. Jack casually greeted her, but Alice wasn't here for small talk. She immediately reported a fatal inconsistency within the system. An incident had occurred, one so serious that even she couldn't handle it with her current authority. Alice requested that the creator personally investigate the problem, and considering everything Dex had been doing lately, the creator had finally entered the story, far beyond the reach of ordinary players, far beyond the knowledge of even the developers. The creator himself was finally investigating the chaos. A hidden class window floated before Jack's eyes, and the moment he read it, he paused. Bard of Anarchy. Jack blinked once, then checked again, because there was just one small problem. He never created that class. Not even a little. This wasn't forgotten content. This wasn't hidden code. This wasn't an oversight. It simply didn't exist in his design, which meant something far more interesting had happened. A disruptor had appeared in his world. The creator continued examining the player's information, then noticed something even stranger. The player possessed the Glorious Heavens medallion. Now that was a problem, because that item belonged to a very specific role. The Holy Prophet, the destined protagonist of the Holy Demonic Great War, the chosen hero of an entire storyline, and somehow, the same person now possessed both powers, a force of holy destiny, and a class literally called Bard of Anarchy. Bro had somehow become both the main character and the guy trying to derail the story at the same time. Jack stared for a moment, then suddenly burst into laughter, not angry laughter, not frustrated laughter, genuine amusement. For the first time in a while, something inside Arcadia had surprised him. Alice watched quietly before asking the important question, how should they handle the error? Jack considered the situation, then made his decision. The job advancement would be postponed, for now. Instead, he would modify the item's traits. After all, if the player was going to break the rules, the world deserved a response. Jack wanted to balance the scales. Then he selected a single name, Michael, and just like that, the creator personally altered the future. Back in the game, Dex was still staring at the partnership proposal. The offer was tempting, authority, influence. However, most players would have accepted instantly. Dex, not a chance. He calmly rejected the proposal. The Baroness immediately recoiled in shock, like she'd just been hit by a critical attack. Dex explained that he was still traveling the continent. His journey wasn't finished yet. Maybe someday he'd consider it, after his travels were complete. Internally, though, Bro already knew the truth. Working closely with the Baroness sounded absolutely exhausting. One economic revolution was enough for now. The Baroness, however, completely ignored that part. She focused only on the promise, and instantly lit up with happiness. Before Dex could escape, she handed him a sealed envelope. A recommendation letter, a very important one. Dex accepted it curiously, then immediately asked why she kept talking about protection and war. The Baroness's expression grew serious. According to her, the kingdom was in trouble, the king had grown old, the prince was still too young, and ambitious nobles were taking advantage of the chaos. Everywhere she looked, corruption was spreading, power struggles were escalating, and one man stood above the rest, Duke Burhan. the worst offender. A hardliner noble trying to control the throne itself. He wanted the king to become a puppet, and he pushed aggressively for war with a neighboring nation, not because it was necessary, but because war meant money, money that could conveniently disappear into certain pockets. The Baroness feared what the kingdom would become if nobody stopped it. Meanwhile, Dex listened in growing disbelief. Bro came here to mine rocks. Now he was getting dragged into national politics. This escalation needed to be studied. The Baroness explained that her recommendation letter detailed everything Dex had done to save her territory. Once the imperial family read it, they would view him favorably. She urged him to seek out Count Brocken first, then begged him to lend his strength to the Maroon Kingdom. Internally, Dex was already regretting every life decision that led him here. Then suddenly, a giant blue system window appeared, and immediately something felt wrong. This wasn't a quest. Quests could be declined, ignored, delayed. This was something else entirely. A mission. The message was simple, brutal, and completely unfair. The Bard of Anarchy could not ignore an era of change. He was ordered to become the protagonist of this new age. He must contribute to the Maroon Kingdom and support the imperial family. Dex stared at the message, waiting for an accept button, a decline button, anything. Nothing appeared. The game never even asked for permission, Bro got voluntold. At that moment he realized something horrifying. He had absolutely no choice. Internally he cursed the system with every word he could think of. Externally, he smiled like a perfect gentleman, then politely told the Baroness he would do his best. The Baroness practically glowed with happiness. Dex laughed, promised she could count on him, and immediately started walking away before she assigned him another kingdom to save. The Baroness enthusiastically waved goodbye. Dex waved back. While internally suffering, the connection he just formed was going to cause endless headaches. As he disappeared into the distance, the Baroness continued watching, and she became more certain than ever. This wasn't intuition anymore. This wasn't wishful thinking. It was obvious. Anyone who met him could see it. That adventurer would change the entire world, and honestly, she wasn't wrong. Whether intentionally or accidentally, Dex had already begun reshaping Arcadia itself. Countless fates had shifted because of him. Entire storylines had changed. Entire economies had changed. Even the Slime Queen was peacefully ruling her new territory because of his actions. The evidence was everywhere, and the funniest part, most of his decisions looked completely insane from the outside, yet somehow they worked. This was a world designed for players, a world meant to reward freedom, and who could punish a player whose playstyle embodied that idea better than anyone else. Dex confidently continued down the road, but more importantly, the trolling he planned from this point onward would make everything he'd done before look innocent, and that was a terrifying thought. Soon he exited the city gates alongside Satan. The little demon looked concerned, then asked if this path was really the right choice. Dex raised an eyebrow, wondering what he meant. Satan quickly clarified, human politics were a nightmare, nobles were complicated, power struggles were dangerous, so why willingly walk into that mess? Honestly, it was a fair question. Dex admitted that Satan was completely right. This was absolutely going to become troublesome, but since events had already reached this point, he decided he might as well see things through to the end. Besides, everything he was doing ultimately came back to one thing: plausibility. The more influence he gained, the greater the rewards could become. Then suddenly, a system notification appeared. The issue regarding the system error has been resolved. The stats of the Glorious Heavens medallion have been adjusted. We apologize for the inconvenience. Dex immediately became suspicious. Whenever a game says sorry, something ridiculous usually follows, and sure enough, the medallion suddenly began glowing. Brilliant golden light erupted from the artifact. Dex stared at it in confusion, then shouted at the item for causing problems again. Meanwhile, Satan watched carefully as the light started changing shape. The golden energy condensed, compressed, and gradually formed something solid. Massive wings emerged from the radiance. Golden feathers scattered through the air. Dex slowly realized what was happening, and his eyes widened. Satan gasped, believing it couldn't possibly be true. The system immediately confirmed it. Connection with holy nature established. Guardian angel summoned. The summoned being will protect the user. The item is permanently attached and cannot be unequipped. Wait, permanently? Bro didn't even get a choice. Again, the golden figure finally emerged completely. Majestic wings spread outward. Divine energy filled the surroundings. The atmosphere became overwhelming, and a title card appeared. Star of Glory and Holiness, Archangel Michael. Satan nearly stopped breathing. The legendary Archangel herself had appeared, the same Michael from the ancient war. Angels and demons are sworn enemies. They are like cats and dogs who cannot exist under the same sky. The meeting of their leaders is usually a cataclysmic event, but this meeting is surprisingly sloppy. A tiny angel and a tiny demon float in the air arguing. They shout at each other to get lost. The angel demands to know why the demon is destroying their holy land. The demon stammers a weak defense. The angel asks if he wants to fight all out again. The demon eagerly accepts the challenge. Dex steps in and tells them to stop. He asks what on earth they are doing. The demon tries to rush past him to attack the chicken bitch. The angel retorts instantly. The demon screams in frustration about his original body. The angel mocks him for running away in the last war. The demon accuses her of cheating with the divine weapon Muspelheim. The angel casually dismisses the concept of rules. Dex listens to them bickering like neighborhood kids. It feels like listening to a myth from a library. A flashback shows their massive adult forms clashing in battle. Dex calls out to get their attention. The angel flies up to him and asks if he is the human who contracted with Satan. Dex confirms it but claims the contract was forced. The demon shouts that he had no problems using him so far. The angel focuses on the power Dex possesses. She identifies it as plausibility. She warns that it is dangerous in the wrong hands, specifically in the hands of the wicked bat bastard. The demon yells back, calling her a chicken. Dex accepts the situation but asks the angel to avoid being corrupted by the demon's flattery. The angel smiles brightly and declares she will become his guardian angel. She promises to guide him toward the correct path. Dex stares in surprise. Satan lets out a low chuckle. He calls the angel a fool. He asks if she thinks that is possible. The angel demands to know what he is smirking about. Satan guarantees her one thing as the leader of demons. He points at Dex. He states that this human is closer to a demon than any other he has met. He claims Dex might even be worse than a demon. Dex stands silently. He internally admits the demon is not wrong. His class is the Bard of Anarchy, meant to bring chaos. His actions so far have been undeniably evil. He wonders how she can fulfill her wish in this situation. The angel simply states she does not think of it that way. Elle explains that all humans possess kindness in their hearts. It is the holy duty of angels to bring out that kindness. She vows to try and bring out the kindness within Dex. She asks him to call her Elle from now on. Dex awkwardly agrees to the request. Satan interrupts with a scowl. He states he will turn a blind eye to her traveling with them for his master's sake. But he warns her that the plausibility belongs to him. He threatens to kill her if she dares lay a hand on it. Elle laughs at his shamelessness. She tells him he should have given up on monopolizing the plausibility the moment she appeared. Satan shouts that he made the contract first. Elle accuses him of planning to bring chaos to the heavenly realm. Satan calls her a filthy bat. Elle retorts by calling him a damn chicken. Dex realizes he now has two noisy summons instead of one. He turns to Elle and asks what she will give him if he gives her plausibility. Elle understands the concept of give and take. She offers him a few weapons of the heavens. Dex declines the items and asks for skills instead. Elle is confused by the term skill. Dex explains that he is weak in combat and needs power to fight strong people. Elle repeats the word power thoughtfully. Dex reflects on his class Bard of Anarchy. He realizes the huge penalty is the absence of a leveling system. His current skills are non-combat ones like mining and diving. He knows he needs something to compensate for this weakness. Elle suddenly has an idea. System Window announces he has established a contract with an angel. He acquires the skill Divine Descent. The skill allows him to use plausibility to temporarily borrow the power of the heavens. Elle smiles as the golden contract seal forms in her hands. She declares the contract complete. The heavens will now provide him with whatever power he needs. Dex realizes that for more power he must trade in more plausibility. Smiles, finding this arrangement great. He decides to test it out immediately. Golden light erupts around him as he activates Divine Descent. The explosive force blows Satan backward. Beams of light shoot into the sky. The system identifies the spirit as the Knight of Honor Farhan. The energy manifests other legendary figures. The Great Wizard of Truth Merlin, the Divine Archer of the Legends Parcel, the Great Thief of Faithfulness Murphin. Elle explains that this skill allows him to borrow the power of ancient heroes who offered their souls. Dex checks his status window and confirms this will be very useful. Towering peak of Mount Fian looms over the land. Inside a dark cavern, the sound of pickaxes striking rock echoes endlessly. These aren't just NPCs, they are real players. They came here dreaming of striking it rich with a single lucky find, but the reality is harsh. One young miner wipes sweat from his brow. He realizes his dream was just an illusion. He accepts the fact that he has been deceived. He looks at his hands in despair. He wants to stop. His friends are out hunting, having fun. He is too embarrassed to tell them he is stuck here as a slave. He curses himself for being such an idiot in a game. He doesn't care about money anymore. He just wants to run away. He makes a break for it, but strong hands grab him instantly. He screams that he bought a capsule to play a game, not to be a slave. The other miners look at him with pity. They tell him he has lost his mind. A veteran miner explains the trap. If he runs away, he becomes a deserter. He broke the contract with the Baroness. He will be treated as a criminal in every village and city. There is no escape. If he wants to play the game, he must return here eventually. It is faster to just pay off the debt by mining. Terrified, the student denies trying to escape. He returns to his work, swinging his pickaxe in anger and frustration. Suddenly, a system window appears. His mining skill advances to the 5th rank. His speed increases slightly. He obtains the title Persistent Miner. Then another message appears. The longest burning flame is showing interest in him. The entity has a good impression because he spent the most time with iron. Glowing fiery eyes open in the darkness behind him. The student looks around confused. A guard yells at him to mine properly. Meanwhile, Dex stands ready for battle. He activates Divine Descent. The spirit of the Knight of Honor Farhin possesses him. Farhin is a legendary holy warrior who brings victory to those behind him. His sword strikes fear into the hearts of evil demons. Farhin's shield glows with a divine light. It is said that many lives were saved by standing behind it. His presence alone is a promise of victory. He is known as the Living Honor, but demons know him by a different name. A muscular demon stares in horror as his strongest shield shatters. He screams in disbelief. Farhin asks why he is so surprised. He declares that the demon will meet the same fate soon. The demon screams as a golden blade slices through him. This is Devil Breaker Farhin, the other nickname he goes by. The heavenly being descends upon Dex's body. He can now use the being's power temporarily. Dex holds the legendary sword and shield. Satan recognizes them instantly. He shouts that it is impossible. Dex realizes this is the skill Divine Descent. The power has truly descended upon him. He finds it more incredible than he imagined. Satan screams in frustration. He asks why it had to be that specific bastard. Dex asks if he knows who Farhin is. Satan yells that every demon in hell knows that monster's name. He calls Farhin a pure lunatic who hunted down even innocent demons. Dex smiles. To him, this means Farhin is a holy warrior of great feats. But from a demon's perspective, he is a crazy criminal. Dex likes that. He turns to the orcs and says he has made them wait too long. He asks if they are ready to start fighting. Dex notes that level 25 is pretty strong. The orc warrior roars and charges forward. Dex stands his ground. The clash is imminent. Unwavering will activates around him. Dex feels the power flowing through his veins. He finally understands how to use this ability. A confident smirk spreads across his face. He declares it is his turn now. The massive orc boss trembles in fear. Dex tells the monster not to fall too quickly. The holy shield shifts into combat mode. Conviction of justice ignites. The burning dawn flame engulfs his blade. A blinding pillar of golden light erupts into the sky. The orcs shrink back in absolute terror. They beg the human to stay away. The eyes of Dex glow with a fierce golden light. He demands their necks. A colossal golden slash tears through the forest. The Divine Descent skill abruptly ends. The system calculates the plausibility consumed. Dex walks calmly through the moonlit woods. He notes that every single enemy fell in one strike. Elle stares at him in complete disbelief. She realizes a human body can actually channel that much divine power. A profound realization dawns on her. She finally understands why the Creator sent her to this world. She knows this human will change the entire flow of the world. Michael has witnessed his actions with her own eyes. Dex looks slightly disappointed. He really wanted a proper fight after all this time. The moon shines brightly over the quiet forest. Satan and Elle lie exhausted on the glowing blue ground. Dex sits alone and reviews his new skill. He analyzes the pros and cons of Divine Descent. The major advantage is bridging the massive level gap. He used to rely on purchasing cheat items from Satan, but those items cost an absurd amount of plausibility. He could not afford combat items and fought in unstable conditions. This new skill completely resolves that critical weakness. However, a massive drawback immediately catches his eye. The plausibility cost increases the longer he maintains the form. It consumed over 300 points just to defeat 3 orcs in minutes. He calculates the terrifying cost of facing a truly powerful opponent. He also considers the lack of proficiency with each new summoned hero, yet a small smile forms on his face. He finds this challenging dynamic genuinely fun. Elle opens her eyes and overhears his thoughts. She finds his perspective on the drawbacks highly interesting. Dex is surprised to see her awake. She explains that angels are naturally light sleepers. She glances at the snoring demon beside her. She reassures him about the plausibility cost. She explains that summoning a legendary warrior like Farhin is actually quite cheap. She praises the limitless potential of his unique power. Dex realizes she is incredibly skilled with words. He accepts that he now has far more options in battle. He decides to use the skill carefully and only when absolutely necessary. Elle praises his wise decision. Dex suddenly asks if familiars actually need to sleep. Elle simply smiles and turns the question back on him. The scene shifts to the vast Maroon Kingdom. This territory serves as the main base for the Korean server. The internal affairs of the kingdom are currently in terrible condition, yet neighboring kingdoms still perceive it as strong and prosperous. A magnificent golden crown rests upon a velvet cushion. The kingdom sits perfectly in the middle of the second continent. Its strategic location makes it the ultimate trade hub. It acts as a middleman facilitating commerce between all nations. This geographical advantage generates immense wealth. Massive merchant associations naturally flock to this lucrative land. The Great Merchant Association stands tall in the bustling city. A merchant in a red coat and green hat shouts in frustration about the sheer volume of goods he has brought. He complains that the merchantcy master is nowhere to be found despite the massive delivery. He acknowledges that the association was created by adventurers but insists this is too much. A man in a dark suit with white hair and an eye patch steps forward to apologize for the disrespect. The merchant is surprised and asks who he is. The man introduces himself as the branch manager, John Smith, hoping to attend to him in the master's absence. A system window confirms his identity as the GM Merchancy Main Store branch manager. John Smith explains that their merchancy master is currently in an important meeting. Inside a dimly lit room, a man with long white hair speaks to a blond man. He reveals his identity as the GM Great Merchant Association's merchancy master and mentions a coming war. He states that a huge war is inevitable between the Maroon Kingdom and the Parkale Kingdom. He explains this is necessary to resolve a deep-rooted grudge and make the Maroon Kingdom richer and more powerful. A system window identifies the speaker as Duke Burhan of the Maroon Kingdom imperial family. The blond man, identified as Choi the merchancy master, asks if the Duke can help the GM merchancy in the big picture. Choi internally notes the Duke's sharp tongue for a villain NPC. He realizes the Duke could move all the troops of the Maroon Kingdom, the core of the Korean server. Choi knows rumors say the Duke aims for the throne now that the king is incompetent. But for the GM Great Merchant Association, the Duke is the best partner to make millions. Choi is glad he looked into the Duke in advance and decides to reward his strategy team. In the real world, Choi Jeju, the GM Group chairman's youngest son, is being yelled at by his father. His father lists the positions he has failed at: head of operations, director, department head, team leader. His father screams that he always makes a mess and runs away, asking if he knows what the company thinks of him. He warns Choi that if he fails again, there will be no work for him in the company. Choi submissively answers, "Yes, father." Back in the game, the GM Great Merchant Association is revealed to be a stronghold of Korea's big corporation, GM Group. It is led by Choi Jeju and is a huge community playing Arcadia purely to earn money. At the table, reality and virtual reality cross paths as power and authority meet. Duke Burhan compliments the GM Merchancy for its rapid growth and strong bond between its people. Choi Jeju commands his people to use all methods to buy up all the grains they can at a good price. Duke Burhan agrees, presenting the GM Association with authority over the Maroon Kingdom's logistic supplies. He instructs them to move quietly without attracting attention, which is why he sought out adventurers. Choi Jeju enthusiastically accepts the command, realizing this is his chance. Choi Jeju slams his hand on the table in excitement. He calls out to John Smith, announcing that the massive business deal they have been waiting for is finally here. Smith agrees, addressing him as the merchancy master. Jeju immediately wants to contact his father to demand more investment capital for this golden opportunity. But Smith shuts him down. Refusing to allow it, Jeju is shocked and demands to know why. Smith reminds him that the company has already invested a staggering $8 billion. Jeju scoffs at the amount, calling it small money and promising to pay it back later. Jeju internally confirms that the funds he has are enough. His plan is clear: help Duke Burhan supply the Maroon Kingdom. If the Duke succeeds in conquering the Parkale Kingdom and usurping the throne from the frail king, the entire economy of the Arcadia Korea server will fall into the hands of the GM Group. Jeju clenches his fist, vowing to prove his true capability to his father using this game. He declares that no one will get in his way. The scene shifts to a different location. Count Brocken, a high-ranking noble, looks at his guest. He asks if the stubborn Baroness Mikhail sent him. The guest is revealed to be Dex. Dex stands before Count Brocken in his office. He hands over the sealed recommendation letter. Brocken takes it with a skeptical look. He asks if this is the letter Mikhail gave him. Dex confirms it, explaining he was promised protection and that it contained information about him. Suddenly, Brocken rips the envelope open without even reading the seal properly. Dex is taken aback by the sheer force and lack of decorum. Brocken immediately demands to know why Mikhail sent him. Dex realizes the Count wants to hear the reason directly from the source. He plays dumb, claiming he doesn't know and was just told to find the Count. Dex smiles charmingly, suggesting that heavy reasoning is for high-status individuals, not mere adventurers. The tension in the room is palpable as they lock eyes. Suddenly, Brocken bursts into booming laughter. He declares that he likes Dex. Brocken explains that the reason is obvious: the impending war between Maroon and Parkale kingdoms. He assumes Mikhail sent Dex as a talent to help stop the conflict. Dex feigns surprise, claiming he never thought he had such ability. Brocken notes Dex's lack of surprise at the mention of war, realizing Mikhail must have briefed him well. He asks Dex if he has any ideas. Dex brings up the rumors about the prince's poor judgment. He asks if most nobles are aligned with Duke Burhan. Brocken confirms this grim reality with a single word. Dex processes this information. He states that there are two solutions, an easy one and a tough one. Brocken is intrigued by the prospect of an easy solution. Dex points out that Burhan is the main culprit. He reasons that if the head of an organization is removed, the organization collapses. Brocken catches on quickly. He asks if Dex is suggesting they kill Duke Burhan. Dex smiles brightly and casually agrees. Brocken erupts in laughter once more. He praises Mikhail's eye for people and calls Dex an interesting man. Dex internally notes how the Count's booming voice matches his massive physique. Brocken admits he considered that option. He questions if assassination is truly that simple. The Duke is surrounded by master-rank knights and mages around the clock. He claims he would like to meet anyone crazy enough to succeed. Dex raises a single finger and volunteers for the task. Brocken stares in absolute disbelief. He asks if Dex actually heard what he just said. Dex simply confirms with a nod. Brocken rubs his face in frustration. He doubts Dex could even scratch the clothes of the Duke. He points out that Dex is merely level 1. Dex asks if Brocken thinks he cannot do it. Brocken is taken aback by the sheer confidence. He chuckles and remarks on the boldness of youth. He acknowledges that Dex definitely has a lot of confidence. He turns his back and tells Dex to follow him. They move to an open training yard. Brocken challenges Dex to prove his confidence in a spar. Brocken states that Baroness Mikhail is wise in judging people. He trusts her judgment completely. He tells Dex not to disappoint him. Red aura flares violently around his body as he draws his sword. His title reveals him as a swordmaster in the Shield of the Kingdom. Dex smiles confidently. He activates the Divine Descent skill. Green energy explodes around him as he channels the Wandering Knight Kophilas. Brocken is instantly shocked by the transformation. He notices the aura is completely different now. Just a moment ago, Dex seemed like a novice. Now he feels like a master who has trained his entire life. The system confirms the heavenly existence has descended upon the player. Dex states he only has 5 minutes. Brocken is confused by the time limit. Dex explains he must end it quickly to save plausibility points. Multiple system skills activate simultaneously. Swift steps in the will of a decisive battle engage. The Wind Sword and the Spirit of Earth protect him. Dex clashes his blade against the Count. Brocken grunts in pain from the heavy strike. Dex admits he intended to end the fight instantly. He acknowledges that a swordmaster is indeed different. Brocken stares at him in intense disbelief. Brocken realizes Dex isn't a normal adventurer. Dex asks if he is only realizing that now. Brocken admits he now understands Dex was serious about performing the assassination himself. Dex asks if they should end the spar there. Brocken declares he will show what he is truly capable of. He activates the Formless Blade Aura Blade. A massive sword of red aura forms in his hand. Brocken admits he is a half-assed swordmaster who achieved the title not long ago. Even so, he takes pride in his own skills. This attack is the proof of that. Dex asks if he must really take things this far. Brocken screams to see how Dex will receive this attack. A devastating wave of red energy crashes down. Dex's eyes widen in shock as the impact hits. The collision creates a blinding shockwave that tears through the courtyard. Dust slowly settles to reveal the aftermath. Brocken stares in absolute disbelief. A swirling green energy erupts from the smoke. He instantly recognizes the technique. It is the Formless Sword, a skill strictly reserved for those who have reached the level of a swordmaster. The system confirms he has used a skill limited to level 150 and above. The Formless Blade Aura Blade activates automatically. A warning flashes that additional plausibility is being consumed. Dex curses at L for draining his points so rapidly. Brocken watches in confusion, thinking the boy has lost his mind. Dex turns his gaze back to the Count. He declares he will end the fight quickly this time. Green energy flares violently around his blade. Brocken's eyes widen in shock. Dex launches a blindingly fast assault. A barrage of green slashes rains down relentlessly. Brocken desperately tries to block the overwhelming barrage. The sheer force drives him to his knees. He grunts in pain as his defense crumbles. Dex whispers that he has him. A final devastating strike cuts through the air. Brocken stares blankly as the green aura fades. His sword slips from his grasp and clatters onto the stone floor. The Divine Descent skill ceases. Dex stands calmly over the kneeling Count. Brocken pants heavily, realizing he somehow survived the encounter. The system calculates the massive plausibility cost of over 2,000 points. Extraordinary achievement pops up for subduing a master. He obtains the title Fighter of Miracles. His strength stat permanently increases by 10. Dex stares at the blue window in absolute horror. 2,800 plausibility points have vanished into thin air. He screams internally at the massive cost. Elle floats beside him with a mischievous grin. She points out that he actually enjoyed himself this time. Dex groans in annoyance at her observation, but Elle finds the whole situation quite fascinating. She notes that usually it is impossible to use the power of the heavens so perfectly. She asks if he has ever trained with swords before. Green slashes cut through the air in a flashback. Dex casually admits he messed around with them in another place. Elle is confused by the vague answer. Dex internally justifies himself by remembering his first-place ranking in Rhythm Blade. Brocken kneels on the ground in utter disbelief. He cannot believe a swordmaster of the Maroon Kingdom failed to read the path of the sword. He realizes Dex is someone with absolute strength who has been hiding his true power. Brocken asks what Dex's sword pursues. Dex pauses to think for a moment. He casually suggests it is probably the wind. Brocken is stunned by the answer. Green wind swirls around with dancing leaves. The power of the wind is faster and freer than anything else. Bracken feels a new inspiration ignite within him. He immediately begins training with renewed vigor. Red aura flares around his blade as he practices late into the night. Satan watches the Count exercising alone and asks his master why. Dex simply shrugs and claims he does not know. Bracken approaches Dex and apologizes for his earlier rudeness. He bows deeply and asks for forgiveness from the foolish old man. Dex laughs it off and says things like that happen. Bracken returns to the serious topic of assassinating Duke Burhan. Dex asks if it is not the simplest solution since the Duke is evil. Bracken admits it is possible for Dex but worries about the chaos it might cause in the Imperial family. Dex asks if the Count knows about the Gordian knot. Bracken is confused by the sudden question. Dex explains it is a complicated knot that cannot be untangled. He asks what the simplest method to undo it would be. Bracken admits he is not sure. Dex smiles and says the answer is to just cut it. A pair of scissors slices through a thick rope. He explains that what cannot be untangled is easier to just cut away. When asked about the aftermath, Dex just smiles. He suggests it would probably work itself out somehow. Bracken is left speechless by the sheer irresponsibility of the plan. Bracken realizes Dex is the only one who can address the kingdom's deep-rooted issues so casually. He acknowledges that there simply are no better solutions available. He bows his head and agrees to follow Dex's plan. The name Adventurer Dex echoes in his mind. He realizes it is not just about the sword aura but something deeper within the young man. He senses the most fearsome man in the world hiding inside that unassuming exterior. Dex turns and walks away with his cape fluttering behind him. A system message confirms he has taken a successful step toward changing the kingdom. The mission begins to update automatically. A new subquest suddenly appears on the screen. The mission update details the turmoil in the Maroon Kingdom and commands him to become the protagonist of this wind of change. The subquest is to assassinate Duke Burhan. Dex reads the unexpected subquest and realizes the system is pushing him to eliminate the Duke. He smiles and finds the game mechanics truly interesting. Satan lets out a dark chuckle. He asks if his master will actually go through with killing the Duke. Elle looks horrified and asks if he is seriously considering it. Satan mocks her potential moral stance on killing. Elle shouts that assassination is an underhanded trick used by dishonorable people. She insists they should request a fair duel to judge him instead. Dex points out the absurdity of her logic. Elle earnestly suggests giving 3 days' notice or sending an assassination notice so he can prepare for his death. She firmly states that is the correct thing to do. Satan stares at her in disbelief and calls her insane. Dex dismisses the demon's opinion. He reacts with annoyance to something said. He clarifies that he has no intention of killing the Duke immediately. Both summons are shocked by this revelation. Dex explains that one must never listen to just one side of a conflict. He questions if the Duke would start a war without a valid reason. He doubts it and is sure there is a hidden reason, from the perspective of an outsider like Dex. The power struggle and war are actually good things for him. Only one thing matters more than anything else. That thing is his own profit. He intends to help whichever side will benefit him the most. He asks if they have any complaints. Elle is left speechless by his attitude. She yells that promises must be kept and he must kill the Duke immediately. One wonders if that is truly what an angel should be saying. It is a display of perfect self-centeredness. A promise can be thrown away anytime for the sake of greater profit. That is the true meaning of being the wandering adventurer Dex. Dex looks away with a calm expression as the wind blows. In the real world, the economic landscape was changing at a terrifying speed. At GM Group headquarters, a news report flashed across giant monitors. Adgen Electronics stock had just shattered another record, $5,000 per share, a number that would have sounded insane just a few years ago. And there was only one reason for this explosion. Arcadia, more specifically, the Dreamer, the revolutionary VR capsule that had completely changed the gaming industry. No, scratch that. It was changing the entire world economy. Chairman Choi Soon-young stared at the report with a dark expression. His mood was absolutely terrible every time he heard the word Dreamer. His blood pressure probably increased. Just 5 years ago, GM Group had stood shoulder to shoulder with Adgen Electronics. They were rivals, equals, competitors fighting for dominance. But then smartphones happened, Adgen pulled ahead, and now Arcadia had arrived to finish the job. The Dreamer wasn't just successful, it was rewriting entire industries, construction, automobiles, traditional manufacturing. Everything GM relied on was becoming less important by the day. If things continued like this, they would be left behind, and Soon-young knew it. He desperately needed a solution. Then suddenly, the office door burst open. Executive Director Choi Jeju rushed inside with a huge grin. "Father, I have good news." The chairman immediately became suspicious, and for good reason. The first thing out of Jeju's mouth was a request for another 8 billion won. Soon-young nearly exploded. Another? Bro had already received 8 billion earlier. Where did all that money go? Jeju quickly insisted this would be the last time. The absolute last time. Trust me, famous last words. The chairman looked ready to throw him out the window. He demanded an explanation immediately. And he especially demanded to know why his son kept wasting money on that stupid game made by their rivals. Without saying a word, Jeju slid a document across the desk. The title instantly caught Sunyoung's attention. Maroon Kingdom Colonization Project. Now that sounded expensive. The chairman reluctantly began reading, and the further he read, the wider his eyes became. Jeju calmly revealed the details. He had already established contact with the true power behind the Maroon Kingdom, Duke Burhan, and according to him, everything was proceeding perfectly. If their plan succeeded, they wouldn't merely profit from Arcadia, they could potentially seize control of the very thing Adjin Electronics had created. The chairman slowly leaned back in his chair. Now this was interesting. Very interesting. The possibility of stealing his rival's greatest achievement was simply too tempting. Finally, he made his decision. Not 8 billion, not 10 billion, 50 billion won. Jeju had just secured a mountain of money. The chairman warned him that this was absolutely his final opportunity. No more chances, no more excuses. If he failed now, it was over. Jeju thanked him repeatedly before quickly leaving the office. Afterward, the chairman sat alone in silence, reflecting on how absurd everything had become. Dukes, counts, political schemes, wars. Who would have guessed a video game contained enough intrigue to rival real governments? Meanwhile, back inside Arcadia, things were getting even more dangerous. At Duke Burhan's estate, tense meeting was underway. A massive man wrapped in thick fur stood before the Duke. Sir Leonid, a secret envoy from the Northern Harmal Empire. The atmosphere immediately felt heavy. Nobody traveled this far for casual conversation. Duke Burhan greeted him calmly, then asked what business had brought him here. Leonid wasted no time. He knew the Duke was preparing for war, and he came bearing an offer. Burhan handed over the haired plains after his victory. The Harmal Empire would support his campaign with everything they had: resources, assistance, influence. They would even help place him on the throne of the Maroon Kingdom. Now that was a serious offer. Burhan considered the proposal carefully. The haired plains were strategically valuable, nestled between mountain ranges, perfect for strengthening border defenses. The request made sense, and after evaluating the situation, he concluded there was little chance of betrayal, at least for now. The Duke extended his hand. Leonid accepted. The alliance was formed. Both men smiled, though Leonid looked noticeably less comfortable than Burhan, almost as if he had a bad feeling about something, probably a smart instinct. After the envoy departed, Burhan finally allowed himself to laugh. Everything was unfolding perfectly, exactly as planned. A phrase echoed through his thoughts. Under one person, above the whole world. Burhan believed that phrase existed solely for him. Right now, only one person stood above him, and the funniest part, that person was technically an 8-year-old brat sitting on the throne. The Duke burst into laughter. The kingdom needed a real king, not a child, not a puppet, a ruler, and in his mind, that ruler was obviously himself. Then another visitor arrived, Choi Jeju, the GM merchantry master. Burhan immediately noticed his good mood. Jeju explained he had personally come to provide updates. After all, a deal this large deserved face-to-face discussion. Then he revealed something terrifying. He had purchased the future ration production of the enemy nation, the Parkel Kingdom. Not only that, he had quietly bought enormous amounts of grain from current markets as well, without causing panic, without crashing prices, without drawing attention. Burhan looked genuinely impressed. This wasn't simple business, this was economic warfare. Jeju had effectively started choking the enemy's supply chain before the war even began. The Duke complimented him, admitting adventurers were more useful than expected. Still, one concept confused him: buying food that didn't even exist yet. Jeju smirked, then introduced the concept of futures trading, a contract guaranteeing future purchases at a fixed price. Burhan found the idea fascinating. The more he learned about adventurers, the more dangerous they seemed. Sensing an opportunity, Jeju pressed forward. GM Merchantry had risked everything for this operation. Now it was time to secure the enormous rights Burhan had promised earlier, and just like that, the mood changed. Instantly, the Duke's smile disappeared. His expression became unreadable. Dangerous, he casually told Jeju not to rush. There were more important matters right now. They could discuss rewards after the war. After the war, Jeju immediately understood what was happening, and it wasn't good. He tried to object, but before he could finish, Burhan's eyes glowed with a chilling aura. Look, are you doubting me? The pressure hit like a truck. Jeju froze, completely frozen. At that moment, he realized he had been outplayed. The Duke had no intention of paying immediately, and Jeju lacked the leverage to force him. Damn it, he got me. The realization hit hard. He instantly retreated, claiming he trusted the Duke completely, then made up an excuse about another appointment, before escaping as fast as possible. Burhan silently watched him leave, his expression impossible to read. Outside, Jeju immediately punched a wall, hard. His frustration finally exploded. He couldn't believe it. An actual NPC had just played him like a fiddle. Bro got folded by artificial intelligence. The humiliation was unbearable. Still, Starting a power struggle now wasn't an option. He had invested too much already, far too much, so he forced himself to calm down, then reviewed the numbers. All 50 billion his father provided had been poured into grain acquisitions, every last bit. But even that wasn't enough to dominate Arcadia's entire grain supply. That's why futures trading was essential. The strategy would cripple the enemy kingdom when war erupted. And the rewards would be astronomical, 10 million gold, the promised contract value. When converted into real-world currency, the number became absolutely horrifying. 1 trillion won, a trillion. If this failed, GM Group itself could be shaken to its foundations. This wasn't an investment anymore. It was a last-ditch gamble hidden from everyone, including his father. Because if Sun Young learned the true scale of the risk, he would have shut everything down immediately. Jeju took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. No, this wasn't gambling. He knew a war was coming. He was certain of it, and when war arrived, grain prices would skyrocket, the profits would be unimaginable. Everything depended on this plan succeeding. This was his final chance. Failure wasn't an option. Then suddenly, a strange sensation crawled down his spine. Someone was behind him. Jeju frowned and slowly turned around. The hallway was dark, silent, and standing within the shadows, a mysterious hooded figure stared back at him, a dark smile spreading beneath the hood. He realizes the figure is wearing a beginner's outfit. He questions what a low-level explorer is doing inside Duke Burhan's mansion. Paranoia sets in as he wonders if this stranger has figured out his master plan. He suspects the stranger is trying to intervene. He turns to his shadowy subordinates and orders them to keep a close eye on the intruder. He commands them to bring the person to him if they turn out to be a user. He clenches his fist, vowing not to let anyone ruin his plan. Inside the Duke's office, Duke Burhan sits behind his desk holding a scroll. He notes that it is a recommendation letter from Count Brocken. He remarks that Brocken is very picky with his recommendations. He asks the hooded guest what brings him here. Dex smiles brightly and drops a bombshell. He states clearly that he wants to assassinate Count Brocken. Burhan is stunned into silence. Dex explains his reasoning. He claims that Count Brocken believes the only way to prevent the coming war is to kill the Duke. He adds that Brocken is actively planning Burhan's assassination. Burhan demands to know if Dex expects him to believe such a claim without proof. Dex calmly replies that Burhan must already have enough evidence to recall. Burhan lets out a dry laugh and admits that Dex is not wrong. Satan whispers frantically in Dex's ear. He points out that Dex was the one who wanted to kill Burhan and Brocken was merely contemplating it. Dex dismisses the technicality, saying it doesn't really matter. He argues that Brocken was going to make up his mind to kill the Duke anyway. Satan realizes with horror that Dex is doing this on purpose. Dex muses that people will do anything when they are cornered. Duke Burhan smiles and asks why Dex is giving him this information. Dex asks if it isn't obvious. He says he thinks it is better for an experienced and wise person to become king than an immature child. Burhan is surprised but then laughs heartily. He asks for Dex's name. Dex introduces himself. They shake hands. Burhan says he has good feelings about their relationship. Dex says he hopes to live up to expectations. Outside, Elle prays for forgiveness for Dex's lies. Satan asks what Dex is planning by playing the middleman. Dex asks if they really don't know. He says he is just messing with the plausibility. He explains the war will happen either way. It doesn't matter who starts it. There is only one thing that is certain. There will be more responsibilities for him when there is chaos because of the war. Then there will be much more plausibility that he can gain. Satan asks if a war would be good for him. He asks why Dex didn't just work with the Duke in the first place. Dex says that won't work. Then there wouldn't be anyone to fight once Duke Burhan becomes king. He needs to be on Count Brocken's side at first. Satan is shocked. Dex explains that a war with a foreign power isn't the only chaos. War between internal forces is even more chaotic. Dex smiles with a mischievous glint in his eyes as he contemplates the chaos resulting from the two wars. He asks his companions if they can imagine the profits he will gain from all of this. He realizes that double the war means double the plausibility. Satan stares at him in absolute shock, calling him a crazy bastard. A book titled Satan's Note materializes in the air. Satan begins frantically writing in it. He writes down a rule: if you are going to betray someone, do not stand on anyone's side. Elle watches in confusion and asks what he is doing. Satan shouts that one must move with only their benefits in mind. He declares that is what a demon should do. Dex walks along happily, humming a tune about the plausibility stacking up. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him. Dex turns around in confusion. Two mysterious hooded figures surrounded by a purple aura appear before him. They demand to talk. Their red eyes glow menacingly from beneath their hoods. Dex lets out a short laugh. He smiles confidently and remarks that this is going to be fun. The scene opens beneath the moonlit sky. A massive building looms in the darkness, the GM event headquarters, and the moment Dex arrives, something feels off. Several cloaked figures stand guard around the area, faces hidden behind masks. Silent, motionless, like something straight out of a secret society meeting, definitely not suspicious at all. Inside, Choi Jeju welcomes Dex with a smile. He politely invites him to sit down. Dex glances around the room before taking a seat, then casually remarks on the impressive security. After all, not every day you see a private army guarding a business meeting. Jeju simply waves it off. According to him, it's easy when you have enough people. A simple answer. But Dex immediately notices something interesting. Jeju's character name remains hidden, undisclosed, just as he suspected. These guys were hiding more than they were showing. Dex gets straight to the point. Why exactly was he called here? Jeju claims he simply wanted to verify something, nothing more, and apologizes if the invitation seemed unpleasant. Dex almost laughs. Fancy way of saying he dragged someone into a room full of masked goons. So what exactly did he want to verify? That's when Jeju finally asks the real question, what did Duke Byrne talk about with him? Dex immediately plays dumb. No clue, no reason to tell you either. Simple answer, wrong answer. The atmosphere instantly changes. Jeju slams his hand onto the table. Hard. The entire room goes silent. He warns Dex that he doesn't understand the situation he's in. Satan immediately starts panicking. Elle starts panicking too. Both of them can tell things are heading downhill fast. Dex, bro, is just annoyed. While everyone else focuses on the threat, Dex starts counting. 2 people escorted him here, 5 guards at the entrance, at least 7 enemies. Plus Jeju, a total of 8 people. Not great odds. Then another realization hits him. Jeju revealed information about himself, yet never disclosed his name, which means one thing. He's absolutely convinced Dex isn't leaving here with options. The rich kid thinks he's already won. Dex sighs deeply. At this point, negotiations are looking pretty cooked. He quietly prepares to activate divine descent if things get ugly. Then Jeju finally clarifies his intentions. They only want to know one thing. Did Duke Byrne give Dex a quest? But before Dex can answer, Jeju loses his patience again. Another slam, another threat. He shouts that he doesn't care about Dex's relationship with the Duke, but he better stay away from him. And if he ever gets involved again, his life will become difficult in the game, and potentially outside of it too. Now that's not a warning, that's a threat, a very stupid threat, because the moment those words leave his mouth, someone grabs him by the collar, hard. John Smith steps in immediately and yanks the young master backward. The room freezes. Smith tells Jeju to calm down, because he just crossed a line, a very dangerous line. Then Smith turns toward Dex and apologizes. Apparently Jeju has become a little unstable lately, which tends to happen when you've dumped a ridiculous amount of money into a war conspiracy. Smith decides honesty is probably the better strategy, so he finally reveals who they really are. They aren't some random merchant guild. They are representatives of GM Group itself, the actual real-world corporation. Even Dex looks surprised by that reveal. Then Smith reaches beneath the table and drops a massive bag of gold directly in front of Dex. Thunk. The sound alone screams money. A lot of money. Smith explains that GM Group has invested heavily into Arcadia and heavily into Duke Byrne. Too heavily to allow unexpected variables. The gold is meant to help the unidentified explorer understand the situation. In other words, a bribe. A very direct bribe. Jeju looks smug again. Certain nobody could refuse this offer. So, does he understand now? Dex stares at the gold, then calmly accepts the title of unidentified explorer. Sure, why not? After a moment, he smiles, takes the gold, and immediately agrees to abandon the Duke's quest. The response is so fast that both men freeze. Wait, that's it. No resistance, no negotiation, no pride. Bros sold out faster than they expected. Even they look confused. Later that night, under a bright full moon, Dex walks away from the headquarters with his companions. A bag full of gold in hand, and an annoyingly satisfied smile on his face. Elle immediately starts complaining. According to her, the GM Group clearly wants war too. They should have just admitted it instead of playing games. Dex doesn't care nearly as much. He's too busy appreciating his unexpected allowance. As far as he can tell, the corporation is trying to profit from the upcoming war. Military supplies, economic contracts, political influence, whatever it is, it's profitable, but ultimately, it isn't his problem. In fact, war is actually beneficial for him right now. The more chaos, the more opportunities. However, there is one thing he absolutely cannot tolerate, that arrogant rich kid's attitude. Nope. That part rubbed him the wrong way. A mischievous smile slowly spreads across his face, and immediately everyone nearby becomes nervous, because whenever Dex smiles like that, something terrible is about to happen. Then he suddenly bursts into laughter, the kind of laughter that makes people reconsider their life choices, and announces his next objective. He has to kill Duke Byrne. Silence. Complete silence. Then Satan absolutely loses his mind. The tiny demon starts screaming, certain that his master has finally gone insane. This is it, the breaking point, the final descent into madness. Meanwhile, Elle reacts completely differently. She lights up with happiness. Finally, honesty. She actually thinks this is character growth, then immediately suggests a formal duel. a proper challenge. An honorable battle, something worthy of Count Brocken's expectations. Dex stares at her for a second, then rejects the idea instantly. A duel, way too difficult, way too much effort. No, his plan is much simpler. He's going to assassinate the Duke instead, in secret, like a normal person apparently. Elle is horrified, instantly horrified. The angel practically short-circuits. Assassination is cowardly, dishonorable, evil, completely unacceptable. There is absolutely no way she will allow heaven's power to be used for something so shameless. And with that, she cuts him off. No divine descent, no angel powers, no support. Good luck. Then she leaves. Satan watches the entire scene unfold and suddenly starts smiling, a very suspicious smile. Because for the first time, an opportunity has appeared. The demon casually asks a question. If heaven won't help, would Dex like to borrow power from the demon realm instead? Dex pauses. Wait, that's an option? Apparently yes. Satan explains that he can provide a demonic version of divine descent too. Now things are getting interesting, very interesting, without hesitation. Satan begins the ritual. A massive purple magic circle appears beneath them. Dark energy spreads through the area. The atmosphere immediately becomes heavier, more dangerous, more sinister. The contract with the demon realm is successfully established. A system notification appears. Dex can now temporarily borrow demonic power. The only cost is consuming plausibility, honestly. Considering his usual behavior, this feels less like a power-up and more like a natural progression. Purple energy erupts around his body. The magic circle shines brighter, dark power floods the surroundings, and Dex stands in the center of it all, bathed in violet light, ready to make what is almost certainly the worst possible decision, and somewhere far away. Duke Burhan has absolutely no idea what's coming for him, which means things are about to get absolutely ridiculous. A character selection screen materializes before him. Satan asks his master for his thoughts. Dex studies the available avatars with deep interest. Satan explains that the demonic side focuses on utilitarian supplementary skills rather than raw power. Dex questions why his familiar never mentioned this option before. Satan claims Dex never asked and assumed he only wanted heavenly power. Dex dismisses the excuse entirely. He treats the selection screen like a shopping catalog. His finger lands on a terrifying skull avatar. Satan is shocked by the specific choice. Dex reveals he saw this figure in a history book. Elle recognizes the entity instantly. It is the legendary Lich Argamer. He is the absolute peak of necromancy. This evil dark mage once defeated an entire empire and 4 kingdoms. His legion left absolutely no life in its wake. Centuries later, his name still strikes fear into the world. He is the true personification of death. A dark silhouette stands atop a roof beneath the full moon. Dex spots 2 guards patrolling below. He decides they are perfect test subjects. The guards notice the figure on the roof. Dex activates his demonic descent. The colossal spectral form of Lich Argamer erupts behind him. A freezing aura washes over the area. The guards shiver in absolute terror. The system announces the demon realm being has possessed the player. The system confirms temporary access to the being's powers. Dex tests the new form and finds the skill settings perfectly aligned with his expectations. The guard feels the overwhelming ominous energy radiating from the roof. He instantly identifies it as a high-level dark magic skill. Dex stands tall as his dark aura flares violently. Realizing the danger, the guard decides to abandon capture protocols. He orders his partner to kill the intruder immediately. The partner protests about verifying the identity but is quickly shut down. The stakes are clear as a single failure could cost them the entire mansion. Dex initiates the attack. A colossal dragon of pure dark energy materializes above him. The guard desperately activates a holy shield to block the incoming devastation. Dex acknowledges the guard's quick thinking and recognizes him as a paladin. The paladin leaps into the air with a glowing greatsword. He unlocks his divine power to unleash a massive judgment blade. Dex grins wickedly, knowing their elemental types are completely incompatible. He counters instantly with a spirit spear. A terrifying skeletal dragon of purple energy crashes down toward the paladin. The guard stares in absolute horror as the attack descends. The guard screams in absolute terror, realizing he faces a necromancer. His companion trembles violently, sensing the overwhelming mana. He realizes a Lich has appeared in the Maroon Kingdom. He sprints away to sound the alarm for everyone to assemble. Dex calmly states it is not yet time. He knows a necromancer is most vulnerable right before summoning the undead. He refuses to gamble by fighting the entire guard force immediately. He looks down at the 2 fallen guards. He decides to use the materials he has gathered. He casts Raise the Dead. Purple flames erupt from the ground. The corpses rise as undead minions. One becomes a low-rank ghoul warrior. The other transforms into an intermediate-rank Death Knight. Dex stares toward the mansion with a wicked grin. He addresses the arrogant young master of the GM group. He hopes the boy's plan is truly extraordinary. Necromancers possess the terrifying ability to summon unlimited undead simply by infusing mana into a corpse. This makes a single necromancer an immense force on their own. They are considered the most effective weapon during large-scale siege wars. Just like right now, a soldier screams in terror as skeletal warriors swarm him. Dex watches from the shadows, satisfied. He realizes the enemy link has completely fallen apart. Ambushing them was the right call. The remaining guards panic, wondering where this army came from. They mistake it for an ambush from the Parkel Kingdom. One guard yells to stop them before they are completely isolated. But the horror is already upon them. A guard realizes their fallen comrades have been reanimated into undead. He realizes the Duke is likely already surrounded. The surviving soldiers tremble. Knowing this is too much for them to handle, Dex looks down on a survivor with a cold smile. He calls them pitiful for being abandoned. He tells them not to be saddened because he will put them to good use. A massive skeletal warrior rises from the ground. The remaining humans scream in absolute terror. Dex addresses his new army. He congratulates them on joining his ranks and gives them a special mission. He commands them to find the man who abandoned them, Duke Burhan. He grants them the opportunity to seek revenge. The undead army marches toward the mansion. Dex warns the Duke to hide well if he wishes to survive, though he knows it is futile. Inside the mansion, Duke Burhan hears the commotion. He shouts to know what is happening. A servant bursts in, begging the Duke to evacuate immediately. The Duke is confused. Believing his mansion is the safest place in the kingdom, the servant screams that a lich has appeared on the grounds. The Duke freezes in shock. He frantically calls for his holy knights to protect him, but before they can arrive, Dex appears right in front of him. He simply says, "Found you." The doors burst open as skeletal warriors flood the room. Servants scream in terror as they are cut down instantly. Blood splatters across the floor. Duke Burhan backs away in sheer panic. He screams at the undead to stay back, demanding to know where they came from. A massive death knight looms over him. The Duke recognizes a familiar sword among the undead. It belongs to Ledner, one of his guards. He realizes with horror that his entire bodyguard squad has been reanimated. A lich has appeared right in his mansion. Dex steps forward. His voice calm, he greets the Duke politely. The Duke recognizes him as the adventurer from before. He tries to laugh it off, offering to meet properly. Then he panics, offering anything Dex wants. Dex asks what he wants. He answers simply, "Your death." The Duke is stunned. He begs to know why. Dex sighs, telling the Duke he should have been careful who he used. He reveals he doesn't care about the war or the throne. The Duke is terrified that Dex knows his secrets. Dex says the Duke simply got on his nerves. He mocks the Duke's reliance on brainless idiots. He tells the Duke to do better in his next life. The Duke begs for his life, promising to do anything. Dex ignores the plea and orders his undead to end it. The Duke laments his vain wish as the swords come down. Blood sprays into the air. A red system window flashes across the screen. Duke Burhan has died. His secret plans grind to a sudden and harsh halt. A massive 321 related quests are instantly deleted from the system. A new title appears before Dex. He has obtained the title Noble Murderer. The system calculates the massive rewards. Dex receives 53,000 plausibility points. He smiles as he looks at the staggering number. He realizes the system is incredibly generous when he creates this level of chaos. Satan and Elle suddenly pop out of his hood. They stare at the massive point gain in pure excitement. Elle senses a terrifying shift in his aura. She feels an even stronger power radiating from him. Dex chuckles internally at their sharp senses. He asks Satan about the time restrictions for the Lich Argamer descent. Satan grins wickedly and confirms there are no limits. He can use it as long as he has plausibility. Dex processes this crucial information. A dangerous smirk forms on his face. Satan suddenly looks nervous and asks what he is planning. Dex raises his hand holding a glowing purple soul orb. He casts Raise the Dead. Purple energy surges violently through the room. He decides that if he is going to make a mess, he will do it right. The headless corpse of Duke Burhan suddenly twitches. The dead Duke rises to his feet with glowing blue eyes. Dex tells his companions that there are still plenty of places left to destroy.